I don't remember the top of my head. But it works, you know. And what it allows you to do is interesting. The problem I've got is, and Brent says it doesn't really take any extra overhead, but I'm afraid to fool with it on this machine given the limited capabilities of it, you know. But Brent uses it and it works. It works great. I mean, we've just fooled with it. We haven't actually used it in the show.
Right.
But it's kind of neat, you know. Hopefully we'll be off Skype soon enough anyhow.
Yeah.
Don't worry about it.
Okay. Well, things seemed like they're a little bit better. So, you ready to start?
Do you want to look through this box, or do you want to wait till later? What do you want to do?
Oh, yeah. Let's do that right now. So we'll go ahead and just do it. I'm going to go ahead and just start a new video. So.
Okay. Well,
Are you ready to go, or do you want to?
I'm ready. I'm ready. I'll pop it even.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to a special Amigos unboxing. It's our first ever remote unboxing. So I have no idea what Aaron's got hiding within his loins.
Well, I've gotten a couple. Within my what? Did you say loins?
I don't know where you're taking stuff out of.
Nothing for you hides there within. So we've gotten a couple nice gifts from some of our listeners, and I just wanted to acknowledge them. And in this time of pain, it's nice to have them. First, I want to talk. I didn't bring all these out here, but I did bring an example. Our good buddy Zebedee's Magical Roundabout has sent me a bunch of Amiga Future magazines.
Oh, very nice.
In fact, I looked through this one just yesterday. I look at the bottom article there. FPGA Amiga clones. This is from February of this year, so as hot as timely as today's headlines. And Zebedee was looking for somebody who would want to look through these. And you know me, I volunteered. He sent them right out, and they arrived late last week. So thank you very much, Zebedee. I really appreciate that. Now, this next box here is from the Slow Norris boat. The Slow Norris. Let me get my... He did not send this honey bun right here, which I'll be eating later. So, let me move this junk out of the way. The Slow Norris wanted to send a little bit of something for everybody in the gang boat. So, he started off by sending this for the Brent. I'll be giving to Brent when I see him. It's funny, since you guys aren't around, I guess I get to keep all this stuff.
It's the spoils of war, man.
That's the way I like to do it. Now, he wasn't sure what to send to Brent, but he wanted to send him something, so look at that.
Oh my gosh. Keep that away from me, yeah.
That's a nice one, too. I know you don't like them, but they're quality sticks.
It's death on two legs is what that is.
Brent will enjoy it. Now, Boat, he sent you a couple nice items here, my friend. First, you know you're not a big Amiga magazine guy, but he knows what you like. He sent you a bunch of Atari mags.
Oh my gosh, Antic. That was my jam back in the day.
You got Antic
I read those every month, and I've longed for actual paper copies to have again. An analog. Oh my gosh, APX. What's that game on the cover there? I want to play that right now.
There's nothing. I don't think that's a named game. It's more of
an art piece.
More of a concept.
It's an installation.
Mode. You got your analog
with the French horn on the front. Wow.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
One of the lamer brass instruments, and then you've got.
Yeah. Thank you, Slow. You know what I like, and that is what I like.
Oh, Slow's not done with you, Boaster. He also sent this. Now, this is something I got to tell you, Boat. I've not seen one of these before. But this is an awesome little gift here. This is an Amiga 600 cover.
Oh, interesting. It does cover. I will definitely use that. Thank you.
Isn't that cute?
It is. It's very cute. And
then lastly, and this is what got us talking. He sent ARG. He sent these for me, and I'm going to do something with them. But he sent me a bunch of SD cards.
Oh, okay.
We're going to use these as prizes.
Okay.
And do some stuff with them. So that was awful nice. And so I'd like to thank the Slow Norris for taking care of us.
Thank you so much, Slow.
Well. We will put these items to good use, Bud.
Absolutely. You know.
And you will.
Slow is.
It'll be a while before I see you. So I'll be looking through these analogs and maybe clipping out a few choice articles. But.
You know, Slow is in the midst of a home renovation at this time, and so we're glad to take any extraneous items that don't fit into his new model home as he goes through it.
Indeed.
Yeah. All right. Okay, so that's the...
What'd you think of that?
That was great. Man, I can't wait to tear into those Antics. Nothing brings me back to my youth like Antic magazine.
He asked me what I thought you'd like.
You know what I like.
I said, listen. I said, what Boat wants, RPGs all the time.
Just dungeon crawlers. Black Crypt,
Dungeon
1, 2, and 3.
And he's like, well, damn, I don't have any. What about this? I was like, well, it's a secondary. He'll take it.
All right.
Let me turn my ringer off, Boat, because sure as God made little green apples, they'll be calling.
Okay, so let's go ahead and make sure.
So are we just going to skip over site news?
Yeah, we'll
just
skip site news completely this week.
We should probably mention that we're renovating or something.
Well, I mean, we could.
Oh, it's up to you. You know more about it than I do.
Hey, Frodo NL, thank you.
Navigate the realm of 2FA verification. That's the first time I've ever had one of those things on my phone that the gimmick.
Oh, really? I use one for a couple sites, but not often. They say that you can't trust SMS two-factor authentication. However, I still continue to trust it. So
I just trust putting the same password in every website.
It hasn't failed you yet.
Over.
I almost said it aloud. I'm glad I didn't.
It's bad when everyone you know knows your password. That sounds secure, right? Hey, Boat, I will say before we get this cooking, there is not a lot of trivia or backstory or interesting verbiage about this game.
That's okay.
So don't expect me to go into that deep and try. I mean, you can't find maps. I couldn't find jack squat hardly on this thing.
Well, we've got a couple bits of news. I'm going to go ahead.
Do you want to go ahead and do videos before we do the game?
Sure, we can do that. We can do that instead of site updates. I think anytime that we don't have site updates, we can do videos.
Well, that way you won't forget.
Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds good to me. Whatever you'd like to do.
Yeah,
man.
I'm going to go ahead and I've got all these social media posts.
You don't like our ads, Frodo?
I don't think anybody says, man, ads are the best. I love ads.
Me and Brent have a lot of fun with it. The very few times we've got to fool with it, we've always had a great time. Of course, we don't have to listen to them 600 times.
Let's see. And yeah, so thank you, Frodo NL, for becoming an Amigos supporter. We really appreciate it. And your name will be included in the song for the very first time this week.
Oh, boy. He might instantly cancel the subscription right there.
Okay, so we're done with these.
Man, are you listening to that many of our shows? God bless you, sir.
All right, now let me make sure that the news scene is actually set up correctly. It looks good.
Wow, that's an exciting one.
And
text screen.
Yeah.
I don't know what that was for.
Those are my show notes.
Hey, we bought this game, right, from this fella?
We paid real, actual American dollars for it. Although it did charge us in Canadian dollars, which I'm not sure is a true currency.
Good for the hosers. They need a few bucks up there. See the box for this thing?
Yeah, I saw it.
We'll talk about that.
Okay, I think we're ready to go.
Yeah, man.
All right, so...
Rushi in the house!
All right, I'm stopping the recording. Thank you for screaming Rushi in the house after I started. And continuing to laugh. Support the Amigos podcast on Patreon or PayPal and receive cool perks and rad swag. Visit our page at everythingamiga.com/support.
Amiga, the first personal computer that gives you a creative edge.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to Amigos. I'm John.
And I'm Aaron.
And today, Aaron, we're going to talk about Black Dawn Rebirth.
Ooh, sounds scary, bro.
Yeah. So, normally at the beginning of our shows, I try and think of some interesting and humorous question to ask you regarding the title of the game.
Yeah.
I got nothing this week. Black Dawn Rebirth. What does that conjure up for you?
Remember Black Hawk Down?
I no.
The helicopter military
that
was based on a true
was that
story.
Rwanda or something like that?
I was one of those. Yeah. That's what it reminds me of. Eventually. Also, there was a comic book character named Dawn. Do you remember her?
No, Dawn's a dude, not a lady name.
She was a real busty chick. I know you're stunned.
Yeah,
in a comic book. And she had this real bizarre eye makeup. And her comics consisted of a real super hot, sexy cover, and then that's pretty much as far as I ever got in them comics. So and I don't know if Dawn's still an item. I guess she is, but that was a pretty big deal back in the 90s.
Was this a Dark Horse comic? Was this like when you had all those independent shops set up in the early 90s?
It was an independent book. Mm-hmm. I don't know who made it. I pretty much looked at the covers, Boat. I'll be honest with you.
When I used to frequent comic book stores in the early to mid 90s.
You did that?
Oh yeah, because you got to remember that's where I bought all my Magic the Gathering cards.
What a geek! Nerd.
All right, Aaron. Well, since there's not much in the way of banter this week, why don't we dive right in?
Just killed the banter off. That was
what else are we going to talk about? You got any Black Dawn stories?
Magic the Gathering adventures. Do you have a trunk full of those cards sitting around?
If I did, I could retire. Those things are crazy expensive now.
Now, the Hat Chad has a ton of those.
Yeah, he dips his toe in and out of the water. And by dips his toe, I mean he dives into the pool head first and then surfaces now and again.
It's funny. I remember the old Chad had a trunk full of those things, and I believe he sold them to Hat Chad.
Yes, that's true.
And I also remember that the Brent also had a trunk full of those cards, and I remember he sold them for a bunch of money and bought one of those CD changers. Money well spent.
Possibly would like to have that purchase back.
Technology became more irrelevant than those things.
Yeah, it's so funny. I was watching LGR in one of his thrifting episodes, and he came across, I swear, a 500 CD changer. I mean, there was no upper limit on these things. It's like, what are you doing? If you've got 500 CDs and you want to hit shuffle, how long is it going to take you to load up those guys? And how are you going to tell which CD goes where?
How big is that thing?
It was like the size of a car trunk. It was crazy.
I like how people just sacrifice their trunks. It's funny when MP3s had just become a thing. You could play them on your PC. My buddy Chef Groovy, he had this rig in mind to have a computer mounted in his car.
That's a fantastic idea.
And have his computer hooked up to his speaker system. That shows you how quickly things change, because there was no portable MP3 player.
Well, I remember Leo Laporte on the Screensaver show. He devoted an episode to how you could make an MP3 player the size of, I think he actually built it inside of a shoebox. And so that was, of course, then you had the Diamond Rio and all that. You probably had a Diamond Rio, didn't you?
I wasn't involved in the early MP3 things. What I did have was remember when they had the CD players that did MP3?
Yep, I had one of those.
I had those. I'd burn my own disc.
Yeah, and even then, that was such...
I used to listen to retro gaming radio on my way to work, and I would have a disc, and I'd burn it before I left. And what was the worst is if the disc went bad or something, you'd be right in the middle of the show, and it would go, and you were screwed.
Right.
That was a problem with those things.
Yeah, but I did that. I remember when I got my first MP3 Discman, and I could load up the entire Beach Boys catalog on one disc. I mean, I was amazed that it seemed like the future, and of course, we didn't know what the real future was. This is the real future.
You know what bothers me, Bo? And of course, I was actually playing Black Dawn Rebirth last night, and I was talking to my son. And I was like, I told Luke, I was like, this came on 6 floppy disks. And he was like, well, what the heck's that? So I was like, I looked over my shelf and I'm like, man, there's a whole there's shelves full of floppy disks, and he's not sure what one is. So I had to stop the game. I went over, got a box. Here's a floppy disk, son. I was trying to explain to him how much it held. And I remember distinctly when 3.5-inch discs were they were the SD card of their day, because they were so much more durable. And I mean,
1.3 meg.
If you look at the steps we've taken in terms of storage, it's unbelievable how quickly I remember watching the thing on TV one time. They said AT&T Laboratories has devised a technique where they can store like an entire book on the head of a pin. And I remember thinking, that's crap. That's never going to happen, you know. And then, lo and behold, Bo, people need to appreciate this stuff, Bo.
It's true. We live in a glorious time.
I've got VCRs all over my house, and I'm going to tell you something. You need to appreciate what you got. You don't ever want to go back to tape. You don't ever want to go back to floppy disk. You got the best thing. You've got all the good stuff now.
Yeah.
Get off my lawn.
Speaking of good stuff, Aaron, let's talk about the videos that we've put out on our channel this past week. We don't have any site updates this week on everythingamiga.com, so we thought we'd move up the video talk to the very beginning. Kicking things off, Aaron, a little sneak preview of what's to come on the Coco Show. I recorded some footage of Doubleback. Had you played Doubleback before, Aaron?
I've sang it.
Oh.
Remember that song from ZZ Top?
I was thinking that
Double Back Again. No,
that was probably the direct inspiration for this song.
Yeah,
but
I've played this back in the Disney.
Yeah. So
and with the Black Beauties, but you know, it's funny. I never knew the secrets, and we will reveal the secrets.
All will be revealed on the Coco Show this week.
Because I just played this like a schlup. I didn't get it.
Yeah. Well, there was not really a good quality video on YouTube for Doubleback, as we've discovered doing lots of the different shows that we do. So sometimes we have to record our own footage, but I didn't mind because Doubleback's an awesome game.
Yeah, good job, dude.
Let's see. Let's talk about ARG this week, Aaron. This was a landmark first edition for ARG. Why don't you tell the fine folks out there what you and Brent talked about this week?
Well, you know, the Brent is a mad scientist. And so a while back, he put a piece on the wheel called ARG Battle. And much like I normally do with the Brent, I just ignored him and hoped he'd go away. But eventually, this past week, it came up. And so I didn't know what ARG Battle was. And I was told that what we're going to do is we're going to have a debate, an oral debate. And the topic we chose was making your case for your platform in the late 80s. And so my platform was the Tandy 1000 TL MS-DOS computer, and Brent's was the Nintendo NES Entertainment System. And we just had a little friendly back and forth banter about the the good and bad sides of each platform, what one could do that the other couldn't, and the variety of games that were available. We had a good time, and it was. I think we stayed pretty civil, and we've got a lot of good feedback on it. And I think, I think there's a little bit of everything there. I think you can enjoy either or both, but it was still fun to go back. I had a lot of fun researching it, so the show's done pretty well. So if that's sort of your bag, check it out.
Cool. Let's see, and finally, Aaron. I wanted to finally put to rest the eternal battle that has been raging since the dawn of time.
I couldn't believe this came up.
It's
got to be run dry by now.
There are really only two ports that anybody cares about when it comes to Donkey Kong. I mean, the ColecoVision port, the NES port, the system that was designed to play Donkey Kong as arcade perfect as possible. Nobody cares about those. What really matters is a clone for the Tandy color computer versus the Atari 800 XL version.
The immortal struggle.
Right. So I put both of these games up against each other and ran them side by side and moved the sound back and forth. And I'll let you be the judge. Which one do you prefer? Do you prefer the faster moving Atari version, or do you prefer the more arcade accurate in terms of girders Coco version? So it's up to you, the listener, to decide. I'm just putting both those out there for your pleasure.
the funny thing about these two versions, and of course we've been going around on this for months now, it seems like decades. But the funny thing about it is they are literally they're two different sides of the same coin.
Yeah.
And they both have flaws, and their flaws are the exact opposite of the other game's flaws.
Right.
And so what you really need in there, and of course that would ruin the fun, but you really need like that happy medium, in there, and there is a happy medium in there, but it's not, of course, it's not debatable because it's not on either one of these machines. But of course, and you mentioned the ES version of this, I really thought the 7800 version of this was really good. And it gets no love.
Yeah, in fact, I don't think I've ever played the 7800 version of Donkey Kong.
You should give it a whirl. Seems like I sat down one day and decided that was the ipso facto best port. So, but you do the couple. Yeah, I will say I like your little comparisons, and this looks great.
Cool. All right, and that wraps up what we. Oh no, I'm sorry. There's one other video that we put out since last week, Aaron, and that is Bruce Lee for the Atari. We had episode 4 of 1200 XL, an Atari 8-bit podcast, and we talked about Bruce Lee. Bruce Lee, one of our favorite games, and we covered it on episode 1 of our Sinclair, but the Atari version is the original, and many people say still the best version.
I say that. It's the best.
Yeah.
It was great.
Yeah.
And it's funny when you decided that we were going to look at this. I'd played this thing 1,000 times, but I wanted to play it through over and over to see how much it changed. I'd never done that, and it gets a lot harder.
People talk about how easy this game is, but
after the first level,
I don't find this game that easy. But I'm not very good at video games, so maybe that has a lot to do with it. But I love Bruce Lee. I love its slower, more thoughtful gameplay. It's definitely a unique title in the 8-bit catalog. So anyway, if you're interested in that, check out 1200 XL this week.
Yeah, good game. I love that one.
All right, Aaron, it's time for this week's Amiga news. The Gamble train has been good to us this week, Aaron.
Oh, good.
We start things off with a podcast that our buddy Pixels at Dawn was on this week. I'd never heard of this podcast before.
I hadn't either. I'd never heard of this until he mentioned he was going to be on it.
It's called The Hitching Post. And this is they do different topics. It's not all about one particular system. And this one is about the Amiga. And what better guest to have on this show than Amiga mastermind Pixels at Dawn himself. It's a pretty interesting panel. I think that there were 3 Brits and 1 American guy. Of course, the American guy had no idea about the Amiga back in the day, just like every American guy. And the 3 Brits were like, the Amiga was awesome. So it was a great episode. I was like, I'm going to listen to a couple minutes of this just to see how it is so I can talk about it on the show. And I ended up listening to like a half an hour. It was great.
I haven't heard it yet, so I'm going to it's on the list.
Yeah, it was fantastic. So if you haven't heard of the Hitching Post podcast, you can get it on all your favorite podcast platforms of choice. And I guess Pixels at Dawn is going to become a permanent host on the Hitching Post podcast. So
did you see what Pixels just wrote? He said the American guy was Mr. Cola.
Oh, it was Mr. Cola. I had no idea. I guess I must have glossed over the introductions at the beginning, or maybe he didn't introduce himself as Mr. Cola.
He's also a perennial Twitch streamer.
Yeah,
Mr. Cola.
Yeah. He's also a supporter of this show, so we thank him on a number of levels. All right, next up. Tenmark is back this week, Aaron. And of course, one of the great things about the Amiga community is you've got people covering all sides of the coin, which I guess is really only 2 sides because coins only have 2 sides unless you count like that weird like edge side. Anyway, this week, Tenmark is all about productivity on the Amiga. He's all about creativity. He's all about productivity. And this week, if you're at all curious about how to open a PDF file on your Amiga, Tenmark is your man. I'll tell you who's not your man. Me and you, Aaron. We're not gonna be covering anything like this. So you're gonna have to find another source, and the best source out there for any kind of productivity stuff, I think, is Tenmark. He's very in depth, And have you ever opened a PDF on your Amiga before, Aaron?
I don't think the time ever came about where I needed to be honest with you.
Yeah.
Never really occurred to me, frankly.
Yeah.
So
but
no, I would say probably not.
As more and more people are, extending the life of their Amigas either through emulation or through the FPGA Amigas or whatever, there may be times where you want to start to, open these more contemporary file formats, and Tenmark is your man to show you the way.
Yes. Well done. I haven't even seen that one yet. I thought I saw the most recent one, so I must have missed it.
Now, this also comes to us from Tenmark. He tweeted this out, and I promptly grabbed the link. This is a new FTP client that you can use for your Amiga. This works via Morph OS or OS4. And I can. There are definitely occasions for people to use FTP, not only for their modern Amigas, but also classic Amigas and even classic systems like the Atari 8-bits. I know that there is an FTP Wi-Fi solution that is currently under development. I think it's called FujiNet. It's a great way to transfer files, and if you've ever messed around with a Raspberry Pi, you're going to find yourself doing this a lot too. So yeah, this is you can check this out. This is called RNO and XFR, which I think is like transfer or something. You can find this at the link at our show notes at the bottom of this YouTube video or in the show notes in the podcast.
I do most of my FTPing on the original Xbox.
Oh yeah, that's
where it seems like I'm forever transferring stuff back and forth to that thing.
Now, Aaron, this was a game that probably should have been debuted on our Halloween show. This comes to us from our buddy Neil over at Indie Retro News. The Curse of Rabenstein. This is a high-grade graphical text adventure released for multiple systems. Yeah, we don't want any of that low-grade stuff.
No.
This thing, Aaron, talk about covering all your bases. Right. This guy has released this horror text adventure game for, get ready, the C64, right, the Plus 4, the CPC, the ZX Spectrum, the Amiga, the Atari, ST, DOS, and PC.
Wow. Holy smokes.
Yeah. And you can...
It's like Rise of the Robot.
That's right. You can grab the digital download for free, or you can order a physical edition, which I believe is 25 euros. And
why don't you click on that? Let's see what the box looks like.
I don't believe that it comes with a box. Oh yeah, it does. It does come with a box. I take it back.
I knew it.
It's the box, the diskette, and it looks like some versions come with a micro SD. Maybe all of them come with it. Let's see. You've got to scroll down trying to find the Amiga version here. Yeah, the Amiga version comes with the disc, a cardboard box, the micro SD card, a necklace with a wooden cross. Heck yeah! An 8.
I like that.
An 8.
See, that's thinking outside the box right there.
An 8-page DIN A5 manual. I don't know what any of those words mean.
I don't either.
It comes with stickers and it's shrink wrapped, so you can send that thing off to be graded and slabbed, put it up on your shelf, and never touch it again.
Scroll down. Did I see that this has a ZX Next release?
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
So
see, that's getting on the trolley right there. What's this cat's name again, Bo?
Oh, geez, you asked me too quick. Let me go back to the Indie Retro News and see if I can find out here. Looks like Stefan Vaught. Stefan Vaught.
Yeah, I'm giving this guy the thumbs up. The game may be great, it may be horrible, but I'm giving him thumbs up for getting all the little gimmicks correct. I like that.
Absolutely. All right. So, and again, if you're looking for, game, we don't really cover a lot of game in development news. If you want to find out what is in the pipeline for the Amiga, Indie Retro News is a great source. We really appreciate
for any system. They cover a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
They need to cover Coco. I'm trying.
Now, Aaron, last week you brought this up, and this guy has actually released part 2 of this video. This is More Ways the Amiga is Awesome. And this is a guy, this is exactly how I picture you. Maybe not in 1992, because you were already very old at that point, but maybe around 1986 or 1987. This would have been you incarnate. Just some guy, looks like he's sitting in his school AV room, hanging out by himself.
I wish I had a lab like he's got. I always wanted where the TVs were built into
Yeah,
the wall
yeah.
like that.
Just
that's so futuristic, like Buck Rogers or
he
something.
takes his school PA microphone. And he just starts a ranting.
I love it. This is my kind of geek.
Yeah.
He gets in there and he tears it up.
Yeah.
I love that.
So, one of the many reasons YouTube is great is for these things that would never, ever, ever be seen again can be seen by the world. And it's a fantastic time capsule of of this guy's life, and I'm sure many other people's.
Hair, Bo?
Oh, I would kill for that head of hair.
Exactly what my hair used to look like.
You were living the dream back then.
It was disheveled.
Yeah, but you want that tasseled look. That's what it's. Yeah.
Yeah, because he doesn't care. He's in a futuristic computer room.
That's right.
Computers don't care what your hair looks like. It's all greasy and jacked up. I love it.
Yeah. All right, and finally, Aaron, these are. I don't know if we've talked about these before, but I saw them come up on a Facebook group. You do have alternatives when it comes to new, different power supplies for your Amiga. And these are sold on eBay by the Air Drive Wi-Fi group. And this is it's a smaller power supply. It's more svelte. It's black, and black means cool.
That's right. It's labeled.
It's labeled. And this thing will power an Amiga 500, basically everything except for the 1000. You can pick one up for about $43. So I guess including shipping, it's going to run you about $50.
Do they have a U.S. version, Bo?
That is a great question, and I do not know the answer. You could always buy a step-up converter. Of course, then you're just adding more equipment.
That's right.
But at any rate, this is just another option. Now, I will say that one of the criticisms of this particular model is that it doesn't have an on-off switch on the thing itself. And I know a lot of people like to have the on-off switch on the power supply itself. So that is one downfall of this thing. But
that is strange.
Yeah.
I wonder why they didn't put it, because they obviously the original power supply did have an on-off switch.
Right.
That's an odd omission.
It is, and so that is just caveat emptor, as they say. Watch out. But if this looks like your bag, hey, it's available. You can get it for $50.
Yeah. Or, Boat, what you do is you get some dudes in Poland to rig you something up. You put it in a box.
That's right. You put it in a shoebox. You go over to your Michaels.
It works great.
You get one of those photo memory boxes. You take yourself a drill, an electric drill, drill some holes in it. Boom.
Yeah. You should sell those, Boat. You could do what these guys are doing.
Get ready for my new eBay store is incoming.
Maybe the guys in Poland will work you up a batch deal.
I'd love it. You know what else I love, Aaron?
God only knows.
Black Dawn Rebirth.
Yeah, man.
Let's talk about
this bad boy, Boatster. Now, this game, I think we covered this in terms of it was coming last year. I do recall it coming up on that show. This came out, I believe it was in December, Boat, of 2019. Black Dawn Rebirth. So, I mean, literally, as timely as today's headlines, Boat.
Yeah.
And this was published by Double-Sided Games, who are they're a player out there in the modern gaming. The fella that developed, there was actually a couple groups credited with the development of this: ZSoft and the Raster Wizards. This was designed and coded by a guy named Sean Waters. Now I looked at his credits, Boat. Tell me if any of this stuff rings a bell. I've been told that this game is part of a series of Dawn games, and I see a couple Dawn games that he's worked on, Dawn 6 and Dawn. I don't know how the storyline falls in or whatever on those. He also did a game called Boing. He did Parasite 1 and 2, a game called Rotator.
I remember Rotator. We've talked about that.
We looked at Rotator, didn't we,
Yeah.
Code? What was that? Do you recall?
It's a puzzle game.
This was code was also worked on by someone named Colin Vella, and they were one of the people that worked on Barbarian Plus, which we also looked at, which was really good. The graphics in this were done by Tin Shu, spelled cool guy style, and the music by Mike Richmond, who has scored Abduction, Aquacon. That sounds pretty cool, boat. Aquacon. Boing, Dawn, all the Dawns, Parasite.
All the Dawns.
Plebs, Vegetables. Remember that Vegetables game we saw Amiga Bill playing? I think that was that one. White Rabbits and Thunder Dawn. He scored all those. They also want to mention that the box art was done by Tenshu, and the box art on this is super cool. It's like a skeleton in like a space suit.
Yeah.
It looks really good.
Yeah.
So the good thing about this game is this is we often complain, Bode. Full stop. We often complain, but one of the things we complain about, and we also get that look on our face. Is like when a new game comes out and it's only for the Amiga with an 060,
right,
and it requires like 50,000 megs of memory. This game requires has really low requirements for play. You have to have a 1 meg of chip memory and a meg and a half of RAM total. Which those are, and it's OCS, ECS, so it'll run on almost anything. So there are many. That's a pretty standard requirement. So they made this with all the lower end Amigas in mind. Now, as we get into it, we'll find out that there's a few little items they put in that would spice the game up a little bit if you had a faster Amiga. But I like the idea that they made something that everyone could play.
That's full stop the best thing about this game.
Yeah. This came on 6, count them, 6 big discs, Boat. You got an intro disc, and then you've got 5 game discs, Boat.
Yeah.
So that's a hefty amount of discs.
What do you think about the concept of the intro disc?
I like it. I'll tell you why. I like a good intro, as you know.
Yeah.
There's a whole lot more coming.
Right. I knew that was coming.
Now, the flip side of that is sometimes you don't want to set through the intro, do you? The good thing about having a separate intro disc is when you don't want to set through the intro, you just chuck that.
Right.
Put in disc 1, you're good.
That is my personal opinion. I am in favor fully of the intro disc because that's going to be something that you watch a couple times and then you're going to just put it away because you want to dive right into the game.
Unless it's blood money, which you just watch it over.
Well, then you
and
just
over,
don't play the game. Yeah, right,
off.
Exactly.
Now, I will say the downside of the intro disc is it's just another expense.
Yeah.
So I don't know how much per disc you're paying, but it's there. But I don't think it's a huge deal. Yeah. Now this is a commercial release, Bo. This ain't this ain't a freebie. You got to pay.
You got to pay.
And you can get this over at doublesidedgames.com. Now, at press, when I was looking at this, they were asking, I think, and of course, you just purchased this.
I can tell you exactly how much it costs.
Okay, go, man.
$12.59 Canadian.
Okay, what is that in American? About $10.
It's like $9.50.
And then if you want the box, now I think the boxes are sold out. I don't know if you
I don't know. I didn't
box.
look into getting the box, so I'm not sure.
The box, you're looking at $60 Canadian.
Okay.
Which was about about $49 US, something like that.
That seems, yes, maybe.
Yeah. So I will say the box is cool looking. The art looks good. The manual on this thing is, I will say, if you're buying it to get all the accoutrement that would come in a box, it's not like it's loaded. There ain't no wooden cross on this sucker. And the manual is just like a couple pages. So it's not a. If you're wanting it, you're basically for your $59 Canadian, you're buying the box. But the box is cool looking. So if you're one of those people that like a cool gimmick on their shelf, box.
Oh
good.
yeah, and I mean this is one of the more attractive. I say attractive in quotations. It's a very well drawn cover. It's not beautiful, but it's the art's very good.
Fellow here, Tenshu, he's got a future in graphics. I think this guy's got a lot of talent. Yeah. So I believe that I read, though, Bo, that they were limiting the boxes. It seemed like I read there was a run of 100, and I think they were all gone. So I don't know if you can still get this or not.
Yeah.
I think it was listed on the webpage.
Well, if you're going to make a boxed game, you have to do it that way because you have to count on people's FOMO instincts kicking in. If you say that this thing is going to be in production in perpetuity, you're never going to be able to sell as many as you need to break even. You have to say this is a limited number. You got to jump on now.
Hey, listen, if it works, though, if that's good for them. Now let me ask you, before we get into this game wholly, what do you think of these prices in terms of? Do you think that's $10 for the discs virtually and $49 for the boxed version? How do you feel about that? Because I mean, that's pretty much that's straight up actual game price.
Yeah, I
I
think that I'm happy to pay. $10 is my upper limit, and I take it or leave it. You can hate me for saying this or not, but $10 is my upper limit for any retro new retro title. No matter if it's for the Amiga or for the Atari or whatever, I'm willing to pay up to $10. Over 10 for a digital file, I'm not on board. I'm sorry, let me finish.
No, you're right.
For the physical copy, it's really hard to say because without looking at the actually holding the manual and the map or whatever in my hands to see the quality of the paper and stuff. I mean, that kind of thing matters. If you're getting something and you open up the box and it looks like the manual's been photocopied, I'd probably feel pretty cheated for paying $60. But if it's good quality paper, if the map has a nice texture to it or something like that, I don't know. $60 is still. That seems pretty high for me. I think I'd probably top out at about $40 for even a game that I love to buy the physical edition. I think $40 is as high as I'd go.
Given the exchange rate from Canada, this was probably.
Oh yeah, you're right. I keep forgetting that this is Canadian dollars. Yeah. So if this was a game that I really wanted to have the physical version of, I don't think $60 Canadian's out of the ballpark.
Now I will say I know the game came with a user's manual and a map. Book, which we'll get into the map booklet here in a minute. I got a bone to pick with that. So let's get into this game. So what is Black Dawn Rebirth? Now I mentioned that there was a some sort of series, but frankly I don't know what the series is. But this thing does come with some flavor text, basically. And basically, if you look at this thing, what you're doing is checking out the inside of this basically a base. Mm-hmm. You go into it and you're looking around. I mean, there's sort of an ongoing. As you go through this, you're going to come to like some computer consoles that have like. They sort of give you an idea of what's happened in this base.
It's a modern touch. I mean, that's like every modern game does that these days.
It's funny. I was watching. I remember when Tinmark covered this game, and I watched his video, and he had mentioned that one of the things he didn't like was that there was once you started the game, there was no storyline in it. And I was looking at the comments under his video, and the guy that wrote the game actually said that they came out with a revision. Where I guess they added those terminals.
Oh, okay.
To give the game a little more flavor. Mm-hmm. Good idea.
Yeah.
Because you need something.
Yeah.
It almost sort of remind me of like a Doom-like thing. You're going into this base. There's something horrible's happened. You don't know what.
Right.
That thing. So the backstory. It's not like this is not like Ultima where you're. I mean, at least as far as I can tell. So then you're getting into it. Okay. So. Let's boil this thing down. If you've ever played Dungeon Master, for example, this game will be right in your wheelhouse. It's one of those one at a time walking, picture redraw like 3D dungeon crawlers. Is there a better name for that boat than what I just staggered through?
No, I think that you described that pretty as accurately as you possibly could have.
Now you've got choices of how you want to travel in this game. You've actually even got choices on top of that. You've got the ASDW keys that you can use to go backwards, forwards, left, and right, and they work fine. And then you've got your mouse to sort of do diagonals because on the screen they're also the same button.
You can do diagonals with the keyboard too. You just use E and Q.
Well, I know, but I never did.
That's insane.
And
because you have to use diagonals more than you use cardinal directions in this game.
Yeah, you do. So you are in a sort of a dimly lit space base, all right, or a planet
base. I like it.
And you've got the screen is sectioned off. At the bottom part, you've got a very small area that sort of gives you your currently armed weapons and some slots and your health and whatnot. And then above that, you've got the visual area. It's actually pretty attractive. And when you right-click, the bottom part sort of expands into a full inventory screen with all the stuff you've got on you. It's got like a picture of a person where you can fill slots. You know, it's actually pretty nice, Boat. I kind of like the interface. It's simple. It wasn't complicated for me to figure out what I needed to do. And the whole like drag the item onto your body thing, that's pretty standard stuff that was easy to understand. You also have a two hands up. That's where you can put like weapons or shields or whatnot. You kind of just drag them in there and you're good to go. So let's talk about the actual walking around part of this. Again, we mentioned it's just like block by block. If you scroll down to the inventory area, there are two buttons there that will actually change sort of the way you move around the dungeon. There's one that's marked 3D, and there's another one right underneath it. And what these do is basically turn on and off sort of a smoothing, and also turn on and off this sort of effect when you turn that gives you sort of a smooth transition from one look to the next.
Right.
Did you fool with these at all, Bo?
Yeah, that's what they do.
Did you?
I wasn't running an accelerated Amiga through emulation,
right.
And so the top of the two, there's one that just gives you the turning animation, and then there's one that's like extra cool something. And that made my Amiga glitch out on me, and so I turned that off.
Yeah, I turned both of them
off.
I
didn't turn off the turning animation because
I didn't want anything.
The turning animation is actually, you know, it does help you get an idea of, it helps you orient yourself in a way that is it made it easier for me to navigate than having it off. So I did find that to be useful.
You can turn them on and off. Also at the bottom, you can change the color of your lower HUD if you want.
I think,
and you can also
I think the interface in this actually, you know, when you right click and the window slides up, I think all of that is done very well.
I agree. You can also change the gamma on your visual dungeon screen via your inventory screen. You can just lighten it up or darken it, whatever you want to do. I turned mine all the way up, like mine was as light as you could make it. So that's pretty much your interface. Oh, I should also mention that the far right of the interface there's a blank block. If you get the auto mapping device, this block will give you a very small area map that you can help to navigate with, and you can even get stuff that will tell you where upcoming enemies are and stuff. But I never got any of this stuff, Bo. I just had to look into it. So what do you do in this game? You wander the halls looking for stuff. Occasionally along the wall, you'll see a computer terminal. You'll see a door. You'll see a locker. You'll see some other sort of gizmo, and these are the things you can interact with. For example, if you come into a computer terminal and you click it, it will display some sort of wacky message. It might give you a hint about what's very close to that computer terminal. It may be just some flavor text, Boat. It may give you...
I never saw anything other than flavor text on those terminals.
You will. Like, for example, there's an area I got to where there's just like beside
oh,
the
yeah,
terminal,
I take it back. There's the step inside thing. Yeah,
that's right. So they will occasionally give you a hint. But most of the time, it's some wacky flavor text. And by the way, the flavor text I found amusing, but it did not really give me an overall picture, at least as far as I got, as to what the hell was going on.
You can tell that it was sort of tacked on.
The lockers you click on, you open them, and inside the lockers will be usually there will be stuff. Stuff can include weapons. It can include armor. It can include stim packs. It can include health. It can include any number of different items that you can pick up. Key cards also. So you also will come across things on the wall that you just can't interact with at all, even if it looks like you can. and they make me crazy.
Mm-hmm.
You'll occasionally come across a button or a banner.
Mm-hmm.
You also come across doorways that you can go into if A, it doesn't require a key card, or B, you've got the key card. Now, let's talk about briefly, Boat, using items in this game. This is one part of the game I didn't think was that intuitive, frankly. If you come to a door where you need a key card, logic to me would dictate that you either click on the card and click on the door, or put the card in your hand and click on the door. But neither one of those things work. You have to go to your item screen, click on the key card, then click use, right, which is a separate. But I didn't like that.
No.
There's
tons better ways to do that. Both the ways that you described would have been preferable.
Right. I mean, don't get me wrong. It's not like it's a deal breaker, but you have to. I thought it was weird.
Yeah. I think, whenever you have a game like this, you want to allow yourself to become immersed in the world to the highest degree possible. And that means being able to take an item from your inventory, take your mouse, click and drag on the item, and put it where you want it to go on the screen. And the best games of this genre did that.
But I agree. But I mean, again, this is nitpicking here. I'm not going to give the game too much crap. Now, let's talk about combat. So when you come across the very first weapon you'll get, at least the very first weapon I got, was a sword, which I thought was
odd. Ridiculous. It's completely ridiculous for a space age futuristic zombie killing simulation, and you're investigating this abandoned space base.
Maybe it's like a lightsaber.
Yeah, maybe it's like a lightsaber.
Sword that much. So But anyways. So the very first thing you get the sword. So what do you do with it, right? What's in your inventory? You drag it to your hand, okay? And then you'll see at the bottom of the screen, the little block will have the sword in it. Then when it's time to use a sword, it's actually quite simple. Excuse me. You just literally tap that sword with your mouse button, and he'll swing it. Now, combat is not what I would call a visual spectacle. Basically, like, you're not really seeing your guy cut into this guy, for example.
Well, you see some red streaks on
and then you see some kind of special effects that of like you getting shot or hit, and then that's pretty much it. Eventually, one of you will die. That's pretty much it. And as far as I could tell, Boat, there's no looting or any of that stuff. I mean, pretty much they just are gone.
They're just gone.
Right? Excuse me. Now, you can have, eventually you'll get a gun. In fact, I believe the first gun was called like
Pew Pew.
That's it. I thought that was kind of funny. I'll be honest with you. And then I got a big, like a shield, which was pretty cool. And this stuff sort of works. You put them in your hands. Right. You get armor. You get all kinds of various armaments you can put in. You just put them on, drag them over to your body. So the system of getting stuff is pretty neat. I don't have a problem with that. But the combat it's not the best. And I mean, it's not like super visually stimulating, at least the combat I saw.
Well, to be fair, compared with other games of this genre, this is quite possibly the least visually appealing combat that I've ever seen. When you compare it with, I believe that in Dungeon Master, I think you actually see like your weapon come up and swing down.
Yeah.
Like, what are we doing here? This game is, all you do in this game is combat, and you've made it look as lame as you possibly can.
I was surprised at the combat. I mean, the thing is, it's not a deal breaker. It's not super pretty, but I mean, it works.
Well, here's the thing.
The combat interface is okay.
Here's the thing. Like, you've brought up, lots of different complaints, and not one of any of these things is a deal breaker. But when there's an issue with every single aspect of the game, all of those, I'm getting
to the deal breaker mode. So here's my biggest gripe with this game, and I know Boat's going to agree with me here. And first of all, I didn't hate this game. I actually kind of liked it, and because Boat mentioned it, the interface in this is real good, and so getting around and stuff is great. But the problem I've got with this game is that it's 2020 and there's no map system. That's a no-no. We used to talk when we covered Dungeon Master, Black Christmas stuff. we always said, boy, these games, these are like, but not having an auto mapping system back in the day is a real trifle. You need to have a mapping. I want to have a mapping system where I hit a tab or something and be able to see where I'm at.
Well, here's the thing. If you get far enough in the game, the map will appear on the right side of the screen. That grid thing. The problem is
not big enough.
The problem is that you have to get far in the game, and you're not gonna. I mean, you're not gonna have a good time. Okay. Anyway, I'm gonna let you finish your explanation before I talk. So go ahead.
Thank you, Bode. This game, and it's not just this game, but games of this type. The scenery looks identical. All right. So getting lost is super easy. Okay. Now, the book that comes with this, and luckily when we bought this, we got the PDFs of these, didn't we, Bode? And there's a map book with it. And I was like, hey, a map book. Well, that'll do the job. Well, the first level's mapped out, and then the rest of the book is blank. So you can just sort of draw in your own maps. No. I want maps, or I want something in the game to map. I'm not the kind of guy, I'm not going to drag out the grid paper. I'm just not doing it, man, for a modern game. Now, I know some people love that aspect of these games, and that's cool. And if that's what they want to do, they can just not hit the map button. But I want a map. It's just the tiles are too similar. It's just too easy to get lost. It's too darn easy. And I spent way too much. I played this game probably for 4 hours this week. And I bet I spent 2 of those hours wandering aimlessly over places I'd already been. It was driving me bananas, Bode. I just don't like that. And that's my number one pet peeve with a lot of these types of games is just getting lost. And so that was my number one problem with this. It's just some secondary stuff. There's no in-game music. Except for then the title screen has awesome music.
Well, it's your typical Amiga. It's got a great intro, it's got a rockin' title tune, and then dead silence afterwards.
Well, they could have music in there.
Well, they could. Everybody
something
could.
else it didn't have. Like, remember when we played Dungeon Master? It had that awesome sort of ambient dungeon noise, where you could kind of. This didn't have any of that either. It's just sort of silent. None of these things would. The only thing that would make me just not recommend the game is strictly the mapping issue. I just don't like it. But that's a personal thing. I think it's a good-looking game. I think the interface is good. I think it's well thought out. And I only got to say, what do we say? Level C boat, 1C, something like that, before I tapped out. But there's potential there. It's funny. I researched. I looked all over to see videos of people that had gotten further, or people that had, or some maps, and I just couldn't find much anything. I would love to have had some help on this thing. I did see some of the later level tile sets. They look pretty good. This game it's got 7 dungeons, which is a total of 21 levels. It's got 14 different weapons, 21 different types of enemies. The enemies looked pretty good, by the way, the ones I saw. It also, of course, you can install this on your hard drive. It's funny, I played this off the floppies without any trouble. I just put them on my GoTech, and it's a decent game, but like I said, the map thing was a real deal breaker for me. What did you think? But I know these aren't your cup of tea necessarily.
All right. Well, before I get started, whenever you cover a new game that is obviously a passion project for somebody. The developer of Black Dawn Rebirth didn't write this game for a big paycheck, and he's still around, and it's possible that he's going to watch this. And sometimes it makes it hard to be critical of, because that there's a guy that really poured his heart and soul into this game. And before I begin my critique, I want to acknowledge that, and I want to say, making a game of any kind, is a very, very difficult endeavor. This guy has a tremendous amount of creativity, and I appreciate the work that he's done for the Amiga community. Now, let's talk. What is this game? Okay, what is the genre of this game? Is this a puzzle game? I don't think so. Is this a party management game? No, because there's no party. It's just you. Is this an inventory management game? No. Is it a loot collection and upgrading game? No. What this game is a... imagine if there weren't decent computers in the early to mid 90s, if the PC wasn't around and you only had the Amiga, and you couldn't have games like Doom or Wolfenstein. This would be the natural evolution of the first-person genre, where you have hardware that can't handle 3D, fast movement. You have to draw one screen at a time. And that's essentially what Black Dawn Rebirth is. It is a Doom game, a Doom-type game that draws one frame at a time. It has the click combat instead of real-time combat, and it's the same mechanic that Doom is, which is basically you wander these huge arena-like areas, you collect key cards, you use the key cards to unlock doors and discover new content. That is the game. There are weapons that you pick up along the way. As you progress through the game, you get more and more powerful weapons. And you get health packs that you use to recharge your health. You discover aspects of the story as you move further through the game. You don't really need the story. The story is pretty, it's pretty cut and dry in terms of your sci-fi tropes. You come across, you come across an abandoned, military base of some kind. You don't see anybody around, and it gradually appears that something tragic has happened, and you're going to have to kill a lot of things. It's your basic. You're a guy with a weapon. Your job is to kill all the other guys with the with the weapon that you have. I don't understand why you have to design a game that is purposefully confusing to the player in terms of navigating the level. I don't understand why you have to make your tile set where you've got like 3 or 4 tiles and all of them have to look exactly the same. I don't understand why you have to create kind of cool looking things on the walls that are blinking, that look like they might be able to help you in some way and then make them useless. I don't understand why you can't build in a map system for players that want to use it from the beginning instead of making you find it later on down the line. And I'm not saying that this is a bad game because of all those things. What I'm saying is I don't understand the mindset that you have to be in to think that this is a good game. And so, again, I'm not trying to rip this game apart. I'm just saying that I don't understand the appeal of a game like this on any level. Any level, I don't understand the appeal. It's different than Dungeon Master. Dungeon Master I didn't like, but I could understand why people could like a game like this. In 2020 or 2019 when this game came out, I just don't understand what kind of gamer would load this thing up and think, boy, this is fantastic. This is really, really fun. I just can't put myself in that mindset.
Well, I understand that. I mean, listen, hey, I think that was pretty fair. First of all, it's not your bag.
True.
And then it would have to really excel itself to be interesting to you, and you don't feel like it did. I understand the reasons why. There you go. Simple and to the point. That said, if this genre of game is your cup of tea, you may find something enjoyable in Black Dawn Rebirth. And as you go further into the game, you may it really may ramp up. It's funny when you mention this, Bo, because it hadn't really occurred to me until you said it. This is sort of if Doom and Dungeon Master had a child, this game would be sort of what it was like. It is rather doomy in a way.
I mean, in what ways is this not like Doom? I think that's a better question. Other than the fact that it's less fun to play.
There were plenty of attempts on the Amiga to make a Doom-like clone, including types like this. And I mean, you're not wrong frankly. There is some puzzle elements to this, though. There's some pushing. I mean, I saw some stuff where you push walls and there's teleporters and stuff. So I mean, they're going to be the sort of key card elements that we've seen in games like this. And like I said, not having gotten super far into the game, I'm not going to sit here and say there may be awesome stuff coming, but the stuff you said, I agree with. Having stuff on the walls that you can't interact with, that looks like it's interactable. What I would like to see happen, but we've talked about this in like graphical adventure games. If it's something you can interact with, just have your cursor light up or something.
Right.
You know what I mean? That would save you a lot of trouble there, as opposed to just going through and clicking, because there are areas in this with buttons, with even hidden buttons that are real tough to see. We don't need that kind of stuff.
And I mean, I just don't understand why you would go out of your way to make an area that you want the player to explore, yet you make that area as difficult to explore as possible and as least visually interesting as possible. Like when there's only 3 different types of tile that you can put on the walls. And again, I realize that you're dealing with memory limitations and the limitations of the system. But I mean, I can't put myself in the mindset where that is fun.
I try to look at this in the framework of the systems it's on. Like if this game had been released in 1988 for the Amiga 500, how would this be received? And I think it would probably be received fairly well.
It would have been a different concept. There weren't a whole lot of games like this back then.
Right. But in 2020, hey, listen, I'm a spoiled jerk gamer. I would like a little more ease of use. That's just me. But now, again, and I'll take this to the house. People that like these sorts of games, they like this sort of challenge. They like mapping. They like, and so if this is a game that's made to appeal to those people, they should be happy. But I'm not that guy. And I think a lot of people are like me.
Well, speaking of a lot of people like you, let's take a look at our Discord channel and see what our Discord members said about Black Dawn Rebirth.
On this.
First off, we've got Jason Warrens. He writes in and he says, "Blow the dust off your graph paper mapping skills, folks. Here's a traditional dungeon crawler with great graphics, atmospheric sound, and decent controls. Sure, my dungeon crawling skills are terrible, but that didn't stop me from having fun with this one once I got a decent weapon. If dungeon crawlers are your thing, check it out. Overall, 7 out of 10. Pixels at Dawn writes, "Definitely a game that benefits from a beefier system, but I still managed to have a good time playing it on my A600. The movement is good, but the UI and combat can feel a bit clunky, an easy thing to fix in the sequel, and I wish the graphics were a little more distinctive. One wall looks very much like the next. The constant hum of the ship creates a real atmosphere in this space adventure and keeps you coming back. It even has a funky intro. I do wish there was more text description or audio cues, however, as to what is happening. When you move between floors or use a teleporter, for example, it's not clear where you ended up or even if anything has happened, which keeps you from feeling grounded in the world.
Yes.
One of the better new games to come out on the Amiga in recent years, however, but could definitely benefit from a bit more polish. 7 out of 10.
The turbo lift comes to mind instantly. I was so confused when I walked into that thing.
Yeah.
It doesn't give you a good bump of direction.
Here's what you do. You go into the turbo lift, you turn around, the door can shut. You don't have to have a door shut animation. Then you shake the screen. That's all you have to do.
Were you confused when you staggered into that thing?
I was confused the whole time I was playing this game. I was lost and confused 99.9% of the time I spent playing this game.
Did we have any more Discord on that?
Yeah, we got one more.
Oh, okay, go ahead.
Rushi says, "An atmospheric, solo, sci-fi dungeon crawler that's unfortunately light on depth. The post-release patch that added flavor text to the terminals did wonders for the world building and gave it a retro System Shock vibe. But the stove-piped character progression and key hunt gameplay makes the game feel much closer to Doom RPG, there we go, than a future counterpart to The Quest. My one real complaint about the game is the real-time gameplay mixed with grid-based movement. It's not a bad game, and the lighter gameplay makes it easy for me to enjoy in small bites when I have time, but if you're looking for a serious dungeon crawler, you're going to be disappointed. I'm cautiously optimistic for the next game in the series, assuming the randomized level designs work out okay. That's it.
I will say Rushi brings up a good point. The combat in this is real time, and it's caught me off guard, in a weird way. It's odd. The combat could use some polish, that's for sure. I looked for some reviews on this thing, Boatster. Aside from those people, Lemon has this thing at a 5.67, but with very few people chiming in, so I wouldn't take that to heart. And I believe it or not, I actually found a copy of this on eBay that had sold in the past year and had sold for $40 the boxed version. So apparently these things will creep up on eBay. I think the 7 out of 10 assessment, I would say that's fairly. I think I would put this game is not a loser. It's not a failure. It's just what will probably be hopefully the building block that they can build something that is a little more polished with a little more backstory and kind of fix some of the stuff we talked about, because I think clearly the people that did this have talent. There's no doubt. Oh yeah, about
like
that.
when you look at the individual elements, like the 4 tiles that make up the wall set in this, each one of those tiles is beautifully drawn.
Yeah. By the way, we didn't talk about the intro. What did you think of the intro?
Oh, it was great. Thing? It made me pumped up.
It was pretty good. Yeah. And the music was good too. But listen, you've got a guy that can make that sort of tune. Get that dude involved. And that hum. I turned my volume way down, and that was no good.
Yeah. I mean, if you want to, it's fine to have the ambient noise. If you want to, but give me an option to have some in-game music too.
Yeah, I know that's a real beef with you in the both in-game.
Just give me an option.
Yeah, I understand, man. But overall, 7 out of 10. I think that's somewhere. That's about the way I feel about it, both. Yeah.
Well, before we wrap things up, Aaron, I do want to thank everybody that is watching here in Twitch with us. We're recording earlier today, but normally we record Fridays. As long as we are recording remotely, we're going to try and have a little earlier start for all of our friends over in Europe. Pixels at Dawn Gaming is here doing a great job modding the chat. 10-minute Amiga Retrocast is with us. Midgard73, aka Edvin Helland, is here. Actually, I think that's Edmund. Picard 2010, Rushi MSX is here. Let's see, Wing Chun Wolf is here with us. Retro Man Cave. Thank you guys so much. Christian Russell is here. Frodo NL, Criminal Macabre. Thank you guys so much for being here with us. And we also want to thank the fine folks that subscribe to Amigos Retro Gaming on Twitch. If you subscribe to us on Twitch, you get all the same benefits as Patreon, and you can do it for free if you're an Amazon Prime supporter. Still Adolescing, Wing Chun Wolf, Go Sub, Retro Jerry, L. Curtis B, Mohawk Mall, Darkwing 602, Honored Shadow, Tapes from the Crypt, Macintosh Librarian, Duncan Styles, Barkbit, Mitsuyama, Rushi MSX, Silverstreak 72, Frodo NL, Pixels at Dawn Gaming, and Jost 80. Thank you so much for subscribing to us on Twitch. And Aaron, it's your favorite part of the show. It's time for the Patreon song. But before we talk about the Patreon song, I want to wish a happy birthday to Zebedee's Magic Roundabout, one of our longtime supporters on Patreon. Happy birthday, Zeb. Hope it's a good one. And I want to congratulate all the winners of last week's Patreon Song Challenge. It was, I'm going to tell you the name of the song, Aaron, and I'll call you a winner if you can even name the artist. Okay? Right. You Never Give Me Your Money. No. Okay, it's the Beatles. Zorglub, Curtis Boyle, Pac Billy, The Slow Norris, Paul Marfleet, and Mitsuyama.
Wow, I'm surprised how many people got that. I don't even remember.
You're not really a big Beatles guy, so I don't blame you. But
are you kidding me?
If you
not when you sing them, I'm not.
You didn't know the name of the tune, man. What the World Needs Now, Aaron, was the name of the song that I was going to sing. But I've just said the name of the song because you got me fired up with your lack of Beatles knowledge.
You just gave
I just
away
gave
your
away
own song?
my own song.
Is that song, What the World Needs Now is Another Folk Singer? That one?
No. This is...
Because I like that song.
This is the Burt Bacharach, What the World Needs Now.
I love that song too. That's good. Oh, we were going to hear that?
We were going to hear it. You know what? I'm going to do it anyway.
How did I fire you up? I didn't even say
Your
nothing.
lack of Beatles knowledge just angers me.
That's all it takes? You're an angry man.
I am an angry man.
I give you a 6 out of 10.
We do have a new supporter this week, Aaron. Frodo NL. Welcome.
Oh, yeah.
Frodo has been a longtime supporter of our Sinclair, and he's recently joined us as a supporter of Amigos. So we welcome Frodo with open arms from the Netherlands. So here we go. I want to sing it anyway. If you know the answer, you can write in. Silencer, Frodo NL, take Mage Zebedee's magic roundabout. Jurgen, Mr. Cola, Daniel Williams, Bernard Lucas, Jerry Dennington, Zorglub, Commodore Kid, Bjorg Gudnason, Reflection, Simon Lech, Captain Crispy, Kilobytes and Caffeine, Mike W. Deckard, Threepwood, Gary, Heather, Free Lunch, Kate Fox, David Pickford, Cameron Armstrong, Andy Jones, Lobster Manator, 10-Minute Amiga, Retrocast, Bernard Quinn, Retroman, Cave Tim Drew, Simon Rose, Joseph Harrison, Kyle Eder, Rob O'Hara, Matthew Larimore, Andy Craig, Sean Zobark, Bit Roland Burke, Andrew Mongs, Joe the Zombie, Leaf, Kellan, Alan, Kebab, Chicote, Leveler, John, Marshall, Matthew, Perron, Ricky, DeRoche, Creepy, Dead Boy, Figgy, CTZ, The Slow Norris, Stefan Sorgon, Mortensen, Evan, Helen, Widow, 75, Christopher, Hassel, Ravi, Abbott, Chris Folds, Dreamcatcher, Lauren, Giroux, Graham Webb, Keelan, Denson, Adam, Battersby, O'Brien's, Retro and Vintage, Gary, Huckasee, Brian Jones, Paul Harrington, Duncan Styles, Tapes from the Crib, Josh Nadam, Adam Bradley, Jonas Rouleau, THT, Eric Nelson, Kim Tommy, Bushot, Daniel Bingston, Brutal Barracuda, Darren Coles, Jason Warrens, Pixels at Dawn, and Kjolbjorn Barman.
Very nice.
So,
Boat back.
Yeah, so here's an extra challenge for you. If you know the name of the second song that I mixed in, it's a remix. That's what the kids do these days.
It's a mad, crazy mashup.
It's a mashup. That's the right word. I couldn't think of the new word for remix. If you know that or the first song, you can send me an email at john@amigospodcast.com, and I will announce you as a winner on next week's show. Speaking of next week's show, Aaron, it's racing week. You know, this has been a kind of crazy time in the world of real racing. Have you been keeping up with the news? What's been going down, Aaron?
Yeah, no racing's been going down.
No racing's been going down. And instead, like no other sport, the esports genre has taken over. And now Formula One and NASCAR and all of the circuits have gone over to this iRacing format featuring actual real drivers.
Didn't the dude get fired this week because he threw his joystick down and walked off?
Yeah, I love that. Those guys,
that's stupid.
It is stupid.
He should be fired from his team for fake racing. That's ludicrous. Yeah. We're gonna do the same thing with Major League Baseball.
Yeah. So
that'd be awesome. Have all the players play themselves at their positions.
I think that would be fantastic.
Game.
I'd love to see it.
You're right. You're talking me into this, Boat. And also wrestling would be great too. That'd be fun. The flunkies would be killing the
Yeah.
big guys every night.
You know what I'd love to see is like athletes that are also, because you know there's a ton of not athletes, but there's a ton of other celebrities that are really into sports games, and I'd love to see some of those guys go up against the real guys and Matt and stuff like that. There's a lot of potential for esports as we move through this period of quarantine.
For the next month. Then it's right back into the garbage.
That's right. So anyway, next week we're going to be taking a look at 4D sports racing, Aaron.
Oh, it's got an extra D in there.
That's right. This was suggested by former Amigos Game Selection Committee member Figgy CTZ. He's left the committee, but his game remains, and we love you, and of course Figgy continues to be a big league supporter of Amigos, and so we can't wait to play this one. Racing Week's always a fun time for me. And we want to thank you as always for listening. Stay safe out there. We'll see you next week. Until then, adios.
Adios.
All right.
Hey, I'm going to use a quick restroom break.
Me too. Chat, you're left to talk amongst yourselves. We'll be back. See you, Tin Mark. Take care, man. Thanks for checking us out. I hope I wasn't too hard on your game. I mean, I know I was hard on it, but I tried not to be, vindictive about it. I tried to be honest with the way that I felt about it. Fancy water. See, that's cool, Frodo. I didn't know that. I mean, I think that I'll be interested to see how that works out. Well, you know that this is the genre is not amongst my favorites to begin with, so it was going to be hard for me to like this one, and but I tried to find the good in it that I could, and so.
All right. Don't forget to switch screens, Boat.
Thank you. I will do that.
Hi, everybody. We're going ZX. All right. What I got here? All right. Anybody stick around? All right. Let me see here. Man, it's cold out there, Boat.
I know. I stepped outside and then I stepped right back inside.
This is some crap.
I was really looking forward to having the warmer weather back for good.
Me too. I was going to cook out this weekend.
Man, remember last year when we cooked out? Remember how great that was?
Oh, yeah. Well,
Chad jumping around, splashing around in the pool.
I know, God, it's it's sort of depressing, but I'm trying to keep the good look and good attitude because I sure hope that we can get together again sometime in the next couple months.
Mm-hmm.
But you just don't know.
You just don't know.
You know? I don't see your picture. Is that?
Yeah, I was trying to find. I made an overlay which split the screen in half, so I could make us exactly half the screen.
Okay.
But I don't know what I've done with that. So.
Hey, Retro Man Cave, what's going on, dude? I didn't know you were in here. Have any of you guys in chat played that Black Dawn game and gotten, say, 3 or 4 levels in? I've seen some footage of it. You know, this was a weird game, Bo. I'd say that you actually nailed it. You were actually very. I thought you were going to bury it. I thought you were going to do a classic boat like burial, but you were very measured in your remarks. I thought that was very good.
Well, thank you. I'm trying to be better for you.
Very good for me.
Yeah, you're the only person I care about.
Oh, thank you. Finally, somebody.
Let's get the chat there like that. Okay. Oh man, it would be great to have Kevin on board. Did you hear that? Or did you see that? Get Kevin Toms in here in the chat. Aaron?
Oh man, he was sick. It's funny, but I've printed out the instructions for this game because I did that before I'd played it. I'm like, I'm not going to screw around with this game. So I think I could have gotten by without him.
Yeah, this is and I love the game all the more for it. Okay, so I need to trigger all of my social media posts, letting people know that we are live now.
Hey, Retro Man Cave, I'm enjoying your PC Engine series. I love that machine, man. And you love it too, don't you, Bo?
Well, I love it in theory, but to be honest with you, I just haven't played it that much. I've never owned one, and
I feel bad for the PC Engine people because they've got the dud controllers. You got to get the ones with the little toggle switches, Neil. Those turbo. That's what makes the turbo graphics great, isn't it, Bo? The little switches. That makes it a lot of fun.
Well,
I really love those.
You know, again, I haven't really played around with one before. I think
you need to come over. Well, crap.
Yeah.
I was gonna say you need to come over this weekend and we'll play some PC. See, you can't.
But you know, you've got the now. Do you have the multi-tap that lets you plug into?
I don't.
Yeah. I
don't. And it's expensive. That's why I haven't gotten one. But I do know where I can get another joystick, gamepad. But I don't have it's a aftermarket one. They make new ones, but the that multi-tap, you know, you're in the $40 range or whatever. Then you got to buy the other stick, right. So you're in like $75 or whatever.
Yeah,
you know?
Yeah. Has the excuse me for not knowing this. I haven't been keeping up. Has the PC Mini, the PC Engine Mini, the Mini console, is that shipped yet? Do people have those? Slowly,
the Japanese version shipped. A lot of reviewers had it. You know, it looks okay. You know, it looks okay. The thing that surprised me on it is the game selection is a little weird to me, and the controllers don't look as good. But I mean, I'm not a snob when it comes to this stuff. If that's and I will say the mini version of that makes a little more sense to me, just because that's a more obscure console, I guess. I mean, the interface and stuff looks pretty good. I mean, if that's your bag. But I mean, Bo, you could play all of these games on your arcade machine without any problem. I mean, they're going to.
Well, yeah. I mean, why should I have any kind of real console at all? I can play everything.
I don't know.
Yeah.
This is the eternal struggle that I face. I don't know what I'm doing.
It's like last night, you know, when I wanted to do the latest Atari Age high score competition games, And I thought about taking down my 1200 XL and hooking it up and doing all the stuff. And I was like, you know what? I'm just going to fire up the emulator. And I had a blast. I sat there and I listened to 3 Steely Dan albums. It was fantastic. It was a glorious night.
One thing I've noticed about the real hardware, because you're right, I've got an Xbox that'll play almost all this stuff. If I've got the hardware sitting beside me that I could play like that, I'm in.
Right.
I'm always going to pick it, because it's right there. That's why the Coco and the Atari are perfect.
Yeah.
And the Commodore is getting in the mix too now, because they're right there. They always work, But if I have to get something off a shelf, it's like why I don't play with the Coleco Atom or something. It's just like, oh God, I got to do all this crap to get it working.
Yeah, and I mean, like I normally keep a computer out ready to go. Like I've got the Plus 2 out and ready to go right now, and so I try and cycle through them. Now that I've got VCC working better, I won't have to use the Coco 3, the real Coco 3 all the time, and I can keep the something else out longer. But with this week's game, I had to use the emulator because I don't have an analog joystick for the Coco. But we'll get into that.
I will say the other joysticks work.
Can you play?
They're not preferred.
Well, you can't. Yeah. How do you do those curved lines with that you need to do?
You can even slow down to a stop, But you can't. The difference is the analog sticks. You can sort of control your speed a lot better than you can with the digital sticks.
Oh,
I mean, the analog sticks are the way to go, but you can use the digital ones. I've used them.
Okay, yeah, but anyway, I used the thumbstick on a PS4 controller and it worked great. So, yeah. All right, you ready to kick this thing off?
Oh, ZX, right? Yeah, I'm ready.
Okay.
Yep.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to Our Sinclair. I'm John.
And I'm Aaron.
And today, Aaron, we're going to talk about Football Manager.
Oh, boy.
Now, before you get excited, Aaron, this isn't real football. This is that European soccer stuff.
Oh, don't get the see what are you trying to do to me here, Bo? Don't drag me down with you.
You won't be managing your Dallas Cowboys to victory in this particular.
No.
Now I know that this is probably now I don't want to jump ahead of myself, Aaron. Have you played any other soccer simulation titles in your day?
No.
Okay.
No.
I knew that was the answer, but what I want to ask you is this. Have you played any other management titles for any other sport before?
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Tell me about them.
Yeah. Well, Tom Landry, for the Amiga and for the PC, I played that quite a bit, and that's a simulated sport, although now when you actually are calling plays, the whole 9 yards. In terms of like a franchise where you're like there have aspects of that in some of the Maddens and some of the NBAs. They all have that now, but back in the day, they had to a certain degree. I was more of a stat guy, so I'd play like an Earl Weaver or something, or the same people that did the wrestling game, micro league baseball would be a little more statistically driven. But for the most part, I will admit managing leagues and stuff, that's not really necessarily my forte.
Yeah, I played. I remember being kind of intrigued by the concept in Techno Super Bowl, the American football game for the Nintendo, which did allow you to basically play as a coach, where you were calling plays, but that you didn't have any front office side of things, where you were actually like buying and selling players and things like that. Now, did Earl Weaver or the Microprose games have that stuff built in?
It's been so long since I played them. I can't remember the actual detailed work on it. I remember, it's funny, in hardball, you could go through with a team editor. I mean, team editor is not sort of another way you could kind of do this, or even something like TV Sports Basketball. There wasn't really a franchise thing, but you could go through and edit all the teams and edit the players' abilities and stuff to do it that way. And I remember there was talk of having a draft and stuff, and I'm sure some people did it, back in the day. I was just thinking though, when it comes to like sports management games, the two that just came to my mind were Speedball 2 in particular, where you actually can roid up your team and you can bribe people and stuff like that. That's sort of like. And then if you ever played, remember NFL Blitz?
Yeah.
That was real popular. they lost the license to the NFL after a while, and so they came up with this game. I think it was on the Xbox called Blitz the League.
Mm-hmm.
Remember that?
Mm-hmm. I remember.
They don't have the license, but it was a lot more nasty. And there was a sort of a managerial aspect to that as well. Light, So I'll have to say this is probably my first foray into deep franchise control and trading and selling players like that. I don't really think I've done anything like that in the past.
I've done some thinking about this, and I think that one of the reasons why this type of game has always been more popular in Europe than in the States is that in Europe, people had access to cheaper computers faster than we had access to cheaper computers here in the States, versus where our cheap option might have been something like the 2600 or the Odyssey 2 or something like that. Their cheap option was the ZX Spectrum, or even the ZX81 or something like that. And the ZX, the Spectrum was capable of doing a lot of, well, first of all, it could display columns and columns of text on the screen, which you need for any kind of stat management. But it could also do number crunching on a level that our cheap forays into computing just couldn't do. We didn't really have a stopgap computer before something like the C64 really introduced, low-cost computing to the masses. Versus, in the UK just had this whole range of options that was available. I mean, you could say that the Coco might have been part of that, but the Coco compared to the price of the ZX Spectrum was still really expensive.
Yeah, well, one thing that the UK computer scene to me is they're very fortunate because they quickly learned who the front runners in that scene were going to be early on. I think that combined with a budget market for games that Coco, for example, I couldn't go down to the Rite Aid drugstore and pick up games. Mm-hmm. Or, whereas in the UK, you would have the corner news guy or whatever, they would be selling these games. And so you knew you were going to get widespread action and on a cheap game, and you could get a lot of. I think there's a lot to be said. I think that aspect of the gaming allowed for just a broader range of games. I think this game falls firmly into that area. Mm-hmm. I think, and it also provides. And this is just speculative, of course, but I think when you've got a wide market that you can capitalize on, and you've got everyone and their brother trying to make games, it makes you want to try something very different. We see a lot of cloned arcade games and whatnot, but there's been some pretty unusual titles on the Spectrum that were way, way outside the box.
Yeah.
And the library's so vast that God only knows how many of these crazy games we're going to cover at some point. And that's what sort of makes it fun. And I think that budget market let a lot of people's brains just run wild, and they try different stuff.
I agree with you. I agree with you 100%. I mean, the scope of the games that is available, that we even in the I think this is episode 55 or 56 of our Sinclair, just the wacky stuff that the Spectrum was putting out, it blows away anything in the U.S. computing 8-bit scene. I mean, really, the 8-bit computers in the States, they followed a pretty clear path of having a lot of arcade ports, a lot of simple run and gun games, or you had your adventure games, your text games, and things like that. I mean, everything was set in pretty clearly defined genres. But in the UK, I mean, especially with the Spectrum, I mean, they just threw the playbook out the window, and they would do whatever they thought would be cool.
And I also think, in terms of a sports management game, that sports, I don't know about, again, not growing up in the UK, but no one, listen, I grew up right in the heart of sports, and so did you. And for the longest time, no one gave a crap about sports management. Like, no one I don't remember me and my buddies sitting around thinking, man, I'd like to take a team and build it from scratch and run it and do all this. I never even thought it was something that didn't come up.
There was, rotisserie league baseball was a thing in the early 80s. Like, it started in the late 70s and the early 80s, and they would actually have, and this was in more areas where people really cared a lot more, like areas like New York, where baseball is everything, But they would actually be radio programs that would come on sports talk radio where they would actually run down the stats line by line for the players, and you'd have to write them down to do all your fantasy sports. Although they've kind of really come into their own, I'd say within the past 15 years, they've been a thing just in more limited markets since the early 80s.
I think something else that lends a game like a soccer game more to this sort of franchise building thing is I'll look down the list when this game started of all the different teams. Right now, listen, my knowledge, my geographical knowledge of the UK and the surrounding area. I don't know jack squat. There were 400 billion teams here.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I'm not wrong.
Yeah.
There's a ton.
Yeah.
Right. If in America, the equivalent to this would be, say, a football simulator.
It would be like college football.
Or let's say pro.
Well, there's not enough teams to make it accurate.
That's my point.
It's like college football. The FA Cup in soccer is like college football in America with the amount of teams involved.
That's and college. You can't. There is no franchising for a college football team.
Right.
So it would have to. I just don't see. There's not really there wasn't really a hard equivalency over here. And plus, I'll be honest with you, Boat, and I think you'll back me up here. I think people that made software didn't give Americans much credit for wanting anything past explosions or I think the general idea was we give us action games, give us that sort of stuff, racing games. When it came to stuff like this, a more deep thought stuff, I don't think that this was something that people looked at as like a top shelf title.
Oh, absolutely, because you have to remember that for the most part, and I don't know how this was in England, but for the most part, the video games were only marketed to children. It was known as a child's toy. And because computers, by their very nature of being actual real computers, people could get away with marketing towards an older crowd, I think, in Europe.
It's funny. Isn't it funny that when video games first hit the streets, that they appeared in bars and lounges, mm-hmm. and the people that were playing them were all older people. Mm-hmm. Some people, maybe even some people have a few bucks. There were party people having a good time. And then somehow in America, it just evolved into, you're right, a dead kids genre, and no adults played them at all in those days.
Yeah.
And now it's sort of come back around.
Yeah, absolutely.
Very unusual.
Yeah. Well, that was cool. We got a lot more out of that talk than I thought we would. But
just wind me up, brother.
But now, the time has come, Aaron, to talk about this week's game. This is Football Manager.
Man. This is going to be, for the people watching at home, prepare yourself for a visual feast.
It's funny. Duncan Styles does so many of our intros for all of our shows. And you know how he always puts the little picture of the dog in there? And looking at Kevin Tom's picture there in the corner, that's just what that made me think of.
So let's talk about this Football Manager, Boat. I'm going to tell you before we start that when this got picked, I knew of the game's existence and these simulators and stuff. And I've been sweating it because I was like, one of these suckers in the committee, they're going to get one of these through. And this was D-Day week. I knew it was coming, and here it came.
We've got it right here, Aaron. Bam.
Oh, you got the tape.
Yeah, I've got the tape. Now this is the C64 version. This has got to be the only example of a C64 game that features ZX Spectrum screenshots on the back.
Mm-hmm. Oh, of course.
Yeah.
So, Football Manager, Boat. Published and developed by Addictive Games, Boat.
It's a good name.
They did all these Football Manager games. They did a few other games, Hot Shot, Metaplex, Soccermania. This came out in '82, programmed by a fellow named Kevin J.M. Tom.
Yeah.
He did a bunch of, well, not a bunch. He did some stuff. He did President, Software Star. He did He did this game. I think he did one other game. Then his design sort of got picked up, the Football Manager banner, as they moved on through it. Now, Boat, let me tell you something. This blew my mind. The amount of systems that this got ported to is off the charts, Boat. You've got the TRS-80. You've got the ZX-80, 81, the Spectrum, the BBC Micro, the VIC. C64, the C16, the C+4, the Auric, the Atmos got it, the Amstrad CPC, the Electron, the Dragon got this, so we could have been playing this with the Cocoa boat.
Maybe we will one day.
The Atari 8-bits got it. Did you know that?
I didn't.
Yeah, the MSX, the PC, the Atari ST, and the Amiga all got ports of this game.
Cool.
Yeah, it's crazy. This originally debuted at a asking price of £8.95p, and the budget price knocked a couple bucks off at the $6.95. And clearly, this game was super popular, which we'll get into that in a little while. So, what is this game? Now, I'll tell you something. I mentioned it to Boat. I printed out the instructions for this game. I was like, I knew I was in for it, and I sat down. It was time to start playing this game, and I was shaking. I was nervous, Boat. and it comes up, and it says, okay, you got to pick your team here. And it lists like 99 teams or more. I mean, and I went down, and the team I picked was Ipswich, Boat. Do you know anything about that team?
Nothing.
It sounded like a Cthulhu town to me. That's why I picked it. And it's funny, I was watching a guy's video on this, and he picked Ipswich too. Now, I changed the name of my team to Hurricane eventually.
Of course you did.
Yeah, well, gotta do that. Now, what were your first impressions, Bo, when this thing honed into view? Did you know what to expect? Had you tried this before?
I was prepared for the worst, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
I was expecting screen after screen after screen of in-depth like management where you were managing the not only the buying and selling of players, but the individual upkeep of individuals on your team, setting workout schedules,
concession prices,
talking to the tour manager, booking airline tickets. I mean, I was expecting a lot, and I was pleasantly surprised that was not the case.
This game gives you pick your team. Now, from what I've been able to ascertain, Bode, no matter which team you pick, you get the same staff of dudes every time.
Oh, okay.
Now, we're not big footballers, are we, Bode?
No, no.
So I have read and have heard and been told that the dudes in this game were actual dudes. Now, someone can confirm that, but I'm pretty sure that these were actual people that were playing back in the day.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know how many zillions of guys are in this game, but I'm guessing there's not a ton because I kept seeing the same names come up. So what do you do in this game? Well, you pick your team. You have the option of renaming your team. You look over your staff, and you have the option to basically pick who you want to be in the game, who available for the game. And each one of these guys has a price tag, but stat beside them plus their number. So you pick who you want to be in the game. By the way, did I mention I don't know the rules of soccer or any of the actual positions? I don't know if I mentioned that. So then, once you've established that your team and who's going to be playing, you are matched up with your first opponent. Okay. Now, I knew some of these opponents, but like I'd heard of like Arsenal and a couple other places. But like the majority of these places, I had no clue what they were. Weird sounding names. They were all over the place, so I didn't know who they were. And then once your opponent's set up, then you can go through and check your lineup. And then you go to the graphical portions. Oh, it gives you a statistical comparison. We should talk about that, Bo.
Right. So that's the thing that made this really interesting for me is that you could sort of get an idea of how you were going to do, but even the manual makes it very clear that just like in real football, having a statistical advantage is no guarantee that you're going to win.
Right. You've got the categories for your stats are basically like you've got like, I know one of them is your morale, which was perpetually low on the poor Hurricane team. Then you also had energy, you had defense, your midfield, and your attack, right?
Well, you're confusing two different things. Defense and midfield and attack are the type. That is the position of the guys. That's not a thing that can go up and down.
Oh, okay. I know attack is.
No,
I know
attack can't go up
morale.
and down. No. D, M, and A. Those are their actual positions. It's like shortstop, third base, first base.
I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the stat comparison screen.
Okay.
Mode.
Okay.
So on the stat comparison screen, you're going to get numbers between 0 and like 20.
Right.
Right. Now it compares both teams. Now, like Boat said, you can sort of get an idea how you're going to do, but and then Boat, stop me if I'm wrong here, but it seems to me like there's a certain amount of randomness to this, because occasionally I could pull an upset.
Right. Well, it's like real sports.
Yeah. So once you look at your comparison, you can actually make a change in your team, and then you can it'll update the comparison basically. If you put one guy in, take one guy out, and then once that's all done, you go to the graphical portion of the game. Now the graphical, well, it's the pitch, and it shows the goal. It shows some of the lines there. I don't know what the names of the lines, Boat. And in the box, and then it shows little stick guys of your players, basically, as they kind of move into position. Early in the game, you decide if you're going to be black or white, and that's the graphical representation of your team is that color.
Right.
I was always black because black's cool, Boat.
Okay.
And then the graphical side of this game begins, and it will start with either your team or the other team with the ball, and the other team's on defense, and they'll attempt to shoot the ball into the goal, and they'll either score or they won't. Right. And this can happen many times, and it can go back and forth. Sometimes you'll see them, sometimes you'll see you. Sometimes, occasionally, if the players are in the right spot, you will even see a ball get blocked and then get kicked in on the rebound.
Yeah.
Sometimes there'll even be several kicks in there, won't there, Bo?
You could easily sort of poo-poo this aspect of the game. You could say, well, the guys look lame, the action is very slow. However, it makes up for it in the sheer number of variety of the actions that the guys can actually do. It's not as if you're just watching a guy come up and kick it in every time. So I was pleasantly surprised by that.
I was mostly infuriated on this screen.
Really?
Yeah. Because my team perpetually got smashed. For one thing, now listen, Bud, I don't watch a lot of soccer, but this freaking goal is as wide as a semi-truck.
It seems to be out of proportion to the size of the players.
No kidding. Secondly, occasionally, I don't understand there's nothing in the game where you're drafting or purchasing goalies. So I don't know exactly. Isn't goalie, what's going on there? And I read other people comment about the lack of a goalie.
That's accurate, and I didn't even think about that, but you're exactly right.
So if you watch the little screen, it's goalie by committee. It'd just be a mob of guys that kind of roam around the goal. And by the way, you have no direct control.
Right, it's a management sim
on this. So you watch helplessly as the opposing team lunges at your goal again and again. Now, this screen is funny, Bo. As I played Hurricane, I'll tell you, my first season was disastrous. We couldn't score goals, Bo. And so it was so painful to see those screens come up over and over. They were always the other team shooting on me. And the funny thing is, these screens, you'll see these screens until the game ends. So if the other team scores 4 or 5 goals on you and you're waiting for your turn to shoot at their goal, sometimes it just comes up to the end of the game. You're just like, oh, I just got murdered.
Yeah.
And then sometimes, occasionally, you'll do well and you pull one out. Once the game's over, it will come up and tell you how much money you made revenue-wise on tickets. And then it will give you a rundown of what your team cost you versus how much money you've made. You start off with like 100,000 pounds, I believe, both, in reserve. And what you don't want to do is burn through it.
Right.
And so how would you burn through it? Well, every round, a new player will come up for purchase. And it's funny, but a lot of these players, in my estimation, were duds. And when a real good player comes up, the bidding can get pretty high, Boat. Was that your experience?
Well, yeah, and this leads me to
look, midfield. I was right. There it was.
Yeah, I never said you were
That's
wrong.
That's what I was talking about.
So what you should have, this is the screen that I was talking about. So you've got your defensive players, you've got your midfielders, and you've got your attackers. What they just needed was one more category of keeper, or G, or put a K or whatever. I never know what they actually call it. We always call them goalies, but I don't know what they call them in England.
Yeah.
But anyway, a guy would come up, right? And you'd look at your team and you'd say, okay, well, this guy is a skill 5 and all I've got is a skill 1 and a skill 2. So we should obviously get this guy. But there's not really, I never really felt like, because there's only one player that comes up per round, and maybe this changes later on, but I never saw it where you got more than one player up for bid per round. I never really got an idea of like, well, this guy says he's worth this much, but how do I know if I'm overspending or underspending? And I guess that's really what football managers all over the world in real life, they ask themselves that question too. So maybe that's realistic.
This game, let's boil it down here for a second, Bode, because we went over the particulars. This is the lowest conceivable form of a football manager. Like it has the bare minimum choices that you can make. Like Boat said, you get to choose from a player every round. If your team stinks, a player ain't going to cut it, Boat. You've got you need good players. So if a player comes around and he sucks, then you don't want him. You've got a team full of suck.
Right.
You need good players. It doesn't give you the opportunity to trade with other teams. You can't see the bidding. All you know is that you've been outbid. You can't see the interest in the guy. You can't really doctor a lineup to make a huge difference. You could this game is more of a it's not really about winning. Like I don't know if you could ever be fired, right? It's for me, it was like, what am I doing here? Am I running a team to try to win, or am I running a team to make money or not lose money? And I guess you want something somewhere in the middle, and that's what I tried to do. But I mean, all of this is more, what we're talking about is much deeper than a game. The game is not deep at all.
Right.
This game, as I played this, you know what kept coming to my mind, Bode? Remember a couple months ago, me and Brent did a ARG Presents on the handheld Tandy 1000 computer. It's like the 100.
Yeah.
This game would have fit on there perfectly. This would have been the perfect game for that machine. This is a perfect game to take with you and just fiddle with. Because the funny thing is, I could sit here and bury this game for its lack of options, the weirdness of not having goalies, those weird graphical screens, the lack of choices. But the truth of the matter is, I played this game a lot because it was quick, the rounds went quick, and I sort of wanted to win, and I wanted to see how my team was going to do. And you can make drastic changes to your lineup eventually. I did much better in the second season with my team because by that time I was able to pick up through all those different weeks the players I needed to make my team suck less offensively.
And one of the things that I enjoyed about this game is that the seasons are short. You know, like I would rather have a short season and well, really, it doesn't matter win or lose. I want to see the result. And when you have short seasons, you can see the results of your season and you can make changes going forward versus like on a modern football management sim, I'm sure I would hate it because you play out the full season. And I just don't have the attention span to see the end. Maybe it would have been a good idea for you to be able to pick the length of your season. And I'm absolutely sure that in later games in the series, you can do all of the things. So many of our complaints are probably addressed in the sequels. But I was charmed by this game in a way I cannot fully explain. I like the simplicity of it. I like the fact that I could grasp everything that was going on, even though some of it seemed random and so many features seemed incomplete. I never expected to be able to sit down with you and say, I understand how this game works. I would have never expected that in a million years.
There is some relief at play, frankly. But, you know, one thing about this sort of game, it's so simple, like I said, that it makes it something you can just play a lot. And I thought about this a lot, Bo. This game came out way back in 82, okay? Now, here comes this game, like very written in BASIC, comes around, and pretend you're a kid in the UK, right? In this game, you get to pick your favorite team, or make a team, and you get to compete against all the teams all over the land.
Right.
Right. With real players. This is this game was an illusion of something more grand, because I'll tell you something, and we'll notice this when we get into our Discord reviews. But like, this game was universally hailed, and the first couple times I played it, I kept wondering what was I doing wrong? Where is this incredible 10 out of 10 Ultra game? Right? It took me a while to fully grasp the love for this game, and the love of the game is it is probably the first time a lot of people got to pretend that they had a club, they were going after their heated rival. And when I put it in the realm of what I can understand, if they'd had a game out that said like was a minor league baseball simulator, right, which would be the Charleston Charlies, and we were taking on Toledo, the Mud Hens,
right,
or whatever, and you could do roster stuff, and you could be the manager. I could absolutely see the appeal.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the graphical aspects of this, by the way, this is the same thing Tom Landry does. It just because it's play by play, but it shows you a little graphical chunk of what's going on. I like it. I think it's cute. It's certainly endearing, but this is one of those games that has that one more round flavor to it because it's so simple and so quick, and it doesn't take a whole lot of brain power.
Right.
And you have that one, so it makes you want to keep playing. I ended up playing this game a ton, and I didn't mean to.
Yeah.
In fact, at first I thought it was crap. I was like, man, this is really lame. And the more I played it, the more I enjoyed it. Also, not sucking helped, I might add. You get to go in a little tournament. I had a big showdown. I was the number 2 team in the league. I played the number 1 team, and it was exciting watching those little videos of the goaltender or the the little gameplay footage. It was exciting to see who was going to win, and how I was going to fare against the best team in the league. It was fun.
Yeah.
And that's when it clicked.
Yeah. I had very similar experiences to you, and I'll tell you this. I never thought I would have said this, but I'm actually kind of curious to see how this series evolves.
I am too. I hate to say it.
Yeah, and so maybe Clive's Club will strike again on a future episode. We do want to thank Hermsky, Paul, aka Hermsky, for choosing this one. This is one that I never in a million years. And it's funny because sitting over there on the shelf, I'm looking at right now, I've got several player manager type games that Rushi has sent us for the Amiga. So maybe at some point we'll get to see how this type of title fared on a 16-bit system.
I think if we stuck to this game series, okay, Bode, and it progressed at a mild level, right? Like they didn't dump a crap load of stuff on us every release, we could probably get halfway decent at these.
Yeah.
If they instantly, like at this game, and part of the reason I like this game is because I was sure we were going to get killed, and it was not hard. And so immediately grasping what was happening, that helped a lot.
Yeah, absolutely.
It made me feel less stupid, because we're really tiptoeing into a whole new world here, but overall, listen, the game is not attractive. It's not deep. It's flawed. It's weird in some aspects. It's missing things. So, I mean, is this a 10 out of 10 game? God, no.
Well, we should ask Kevin Toms because he just entered the Twitch chat as you were saying that.
but to finish my thought, is it a 10 out of 10? No, but what it is this is one of those fantasy fulfillment games that you can see why it got popular, and you can certainly see someone thinking outside the box and moving and really making the concept of this a moneymaker.
Yeah.
And really ultimately that's what when you look at this game and you read on the box what you can do with it, that's you're printing money, man.
Yeah, and I think that what happened was after this game came out and it was the hit that it was easy to expand upon it. I think that Kevin did it right by not trying to do too much right out of the gate and just to kind of test the waters to see, hey, is there an audience for this type of game? And then it's easy to add on to it with each upcoming edition. The worst thing that you can do is make a game that's too complicated right off the bat, make the seasons too long, turn everybody off, and then you're out of luck.
I will say this for our American listeners. If you've ever wanted to dip your toe in the pool of a soccer game like this, a simulation game, this is absolutely your entry point. I would recommend it to people like that unequivocally, because this is the game. Listen, if I can figure this out and have fun doing it, you're in. Enough said, Bo.
Yeah, absolutely. As we wrap up the show today, we should talk about our Discord reviews.
Yeah, you should, because I read some of these and they were positive.
Yeah,
let's just say
so
that.
If you support Our Sinclair at any level on Discord or subscribe to us on Twitch, you get access to our Discord server and you can leave us a review that we'll read on the air. We got quite a few this week, starting out with the man himself, Paul, a.k.a. Hermsky, the Clives Club member who suggested this game. He says, a rare Herm firm, 10 out of 10. I love it. I hate football, he says. Never had an interest in the sport, but absolutely loved Football Manager. A truly addictive game that had many players hooked in the 80s, yet still has the same appeal today. Not many games on the spectrum could claim to immerse your mind for many hours, maybe days, and still holding the same appeal almost 40 years on. It proves you don't need large budgets, high-tech, fancy graphics, and sound capabilities to make a great game stick. It's simple, easy to use platform, only requires basic knowledge of the sport, allowing you to delve straight into the game without confusion. This is the perfect game to kill many hours of isolation, putting a smile on your face, erupting your excitement and competitiveness during the dark times the world is facing right now. Overall, a superb game that has stood the test of time. Frodo NL writes, nearly 40 years old, yet still an almost perfect game. While seeming very simple, after all, it's completely written in BASIC. It's extremely addictive. After first playing the ZX81 version, the addition of the graphical highlights was very nice. The only slight issue I have with it are often not very realistic scores in matches. Too many goals and not enough draws when compared to the real sport. While there have been many attempts at making better football management games, most tended to suffer from having too many unneeded options. In my opinion, the only game that came close to being as addictive was Football Manager 2, also by Kevin Toms, which came out 5 years later. And we should ask Kevin, now that he is in the chat, Kevin, what went into the decision of not including a keeper in the list of players that you can plug in and out? And we'll continue with the reviews here. Chris Folds writes, I hate football, the entire sport, all the players, everything. Yet I like Football Manager 1 and 2 and Sensible Soccer. Go figure. This game is weirdly addictive, and you can enjoy it like me if you have no knowledge or care about football as a pure resource management game. A game I've played on and off since the 80s and still enjoy a few times a year now. A firm Folds favorite, 9 out of 10. I like these new catchphrases for the reviews. You got the
everyone's Jimmy the Greek.
You got the Herm
It's the
firm.
lock of the week.
Yeah, the Herm firm and the Folds favorite. Let's see. D-Man writes, the progenitor of the football management genre may seem a little slow these days, but still addictive as ever. My major plus point is being able to take my hometown team from the bottom of the 4th division to winning the league title and FA Cup double, something that more modern and realistic management sims do not easily allow. I'd much rather be playing Football Manager than Championship Manager 2010. And X, rather, I don't know. 8 out of 10. And finally, Pixels at Dawn writes, this is a weird one for me. I like a good football management sim, and this is a lot of fun. Trading out players and managing skill and energy ratings to have the best team on the day is a good time, and the match highlights engine is really nice. But there's a lot that makes this a hollow experience. Picking one team or another has no effect on the game. It's just a name change and you start at the bottom regardless. The players you get are the same each time, so it's hard to attach any emotion to who is on your team. You only play 15 games a season instead of the normal 42. Why? The transfer market is a random dice roll. There's no tactics of any kind. And why does your team not even have a goalkeeper? Don't get me wrong, this is good for a 1982 basic game. There was nothing better at the time, but this is pretty far from football. While I can enjoy this on its own terms, this is more like a football role-playing game than an actual management sim. 6 out of 10.
I'd be down with that. By the way, Kevin replied to you there, bud.
Oh yeah, he says lack of memory stopped goalies being separated at the time. Thanks, Kevin. The mystery is solved. Pixels brings up a good point. He says that, picking one team or another has no effect on the game. It's just a name change. I actually don't view that as being a bad thing because of exactly what D-Man says, which it allows you to take your team from worst to first. If you were putting up Like if we go back to our baseball analogy, if you're trying to take the Charleston Charlies to the top of the South Atlantic League title, you might be in trouble if there are a lot of good teams. But if everybody starts off on even footing, you can accomplish your dreams, and that's what management sims are supposed to be about.
Something else you could do, since you could personalize everything, is you could pretty much change everyone's names, change your team name, whole 9 yards. So you can make it where you make it however you want.
Yeah,
I like that kind. I do like I like the fact that I can make up a team. And I will say, Bo, this game really it turned a corner in that second season with my team, because it's not fun to suck and get murdered week after week and give up 5 goals, but it is fun to see that the stuff you do is actually making your team better. I mean, I'm not reinventing the wheel here when I say that, but that was fun.
Yeah,
and it's simple, fun. And again, if you consider when this came out and the limitations involved, I give this the hearty thumbs up.
Yeah, and it's worth noting that this will run on a 16K spectrum. You don't need a 48K to run this bad boy.
Beautiful. I love it, man. And thanks for Kevin popping in. That's great.
Yeah.
I love that.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Kevin, for joining us. I want to thank the rest of the fine folks that have joined us live on Twitch. We do record Our Sinclair live every Friday. You can join the fun in the chat with the Retro Man Cave. Neil here with us, Frodo NL, Pixels at Dawn Gaming, Kevin Tom's Games. Let's see who else is here with us. Still Adolescing is here with us. And Hermsky, Paul Kitching, Delamort 78. Thank you guys so much for joining us at live on Twitch. And of course, we want to thank all of our Twitch subscribers. You can subscribe to our channel on Twitch and get all the same benefits that you do on Patreon. You can join the crowd. Still Adolescing, Wing Chun Wolf, Go Sub, Retro Jerry, L Curtis B, Mohawk Mall, Darkwing 602, Honored Shadow, Tapes from the Crypt, Macintosh Librarian, Duncan Styles, Barkbit Mitsuyama, Rushi MSX, Silverstreak 72, Frodo NL, Pixels at Dawn Gaming, and Jost 80. So, thank you guys so much for subscribing to us on Twitch. And finally, we want to thank all of the fine folks that support Our Sinclair on Patreon. If you like Our Sinclair and you want to support us and listen to the show ad-free in its podcast version, you can go to patreon.com/Our Sinclair. Just like these fine folks. You got Mark Downey, Hermsky, Andrew Waite, Cap'n Crispy, Laurent Giroux, Gary Heather, Eric Nelson, Harbonaut, Graham Vebke, Frodo NL, Tapes from the Crypt, Pixels at Dawn, Chris Folds, Paul Bossman Harrington, and Christopher Hassall.
Bo, before we close it down, just a little, since Kevin's in here, Kevin still has stuff out there. If you check out Kevin Tom's in app stores for whatever your device is, and check out what he's got cooking.
Yeah, if you actually go to blog.kevintoms.com/games, you can find links to Football Manager available for all the modern platforms: Android, iPhone, iPad, Windows 10, the Kindle Fire, and Mac OS.
I think a portable version of this, that's your baby right there.
Oh, yeah.
I was asking about that. I mean, this game screams portable. And the thing is, you can carry seasons on indefinitely. This is something you set on the bus and play or whatever, you're good to go.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
We need a Tandy 100 version, Kevin. Get on that.
I would love to see that.
For that, too.
All right. Next week, Aaron, it is Arcade Port Week here on Our Sinclair.
All right.
And Pixels at Dawn, Clive's Club member, has suggested what we play Gauntlet 2.
Okay. I used to own a Gauntlet 2, Bo.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. Well, it
had a volleyball game stuck in it, but it was a Gauntlet 2.
It was a Gauntlet 2 at heart.
Oh, yeah.
All right. Well, guys, thanks as always for listening and or watching. We will see you next week. Until then, rewind tape.
And press play.
All right. There's
awesome.
That one done. Thanks very much, Kevin. Thanks for popping in.
I got to tell you, Kevin, never have I been more surprised playing a game. I was ready to bury this game deep beneath the Earth's crust. I knew it was going to hate it.
Oh. Support the Cocoa. Oh, I need to add in. Aaron, can you talk for a second? Okay. I'm not getting your Let's see here. There we go. Okay. Nope, that's not working. Oh yeah, there you are. Okay, can you talk again for me? All right, you're on. You're live and in person.
Of course.
No, sorry, Aaron. Could you finish up what you were saying to Kevin? I accidentally cut you off. I didn't know that was going to happen.
Oh no, I would say great. I'm sorry, Kevin. I was saying that I got to give you credit for. I told Bo when this game came up, I was ready to kill this game. The thought of playing a soccer management simulator filled me with a certain sense of dread. And I'm telling you, this is how full of dread I was. Is when we first decided to do a Spectrum show. This worried me. I mentioned it to you.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, Bo, they're gonna get us. They're gonna make us play one of these soccer simulators. We're gonna get killed. This was a simple, enjoyable fun that I could understand. It was such a relief and joy to play a game like this. So, yes, you did good work, sir.
Kevin, what did you add to the second one? What are some of the highlights of the second one that we should be on the lookout for when we play it? Which song? I don't know that song. I'm not really a big ZZ Top guy.
Mm.
They have a new reality show that's on Amazon Prime.
No, I'm done with that. No. No. It is more fun than it looks. That's true.
How's your honey bun?
It's good. It's being eaten over a series of 3 hours.
I really like the what do you think about the box art on this thing? Actually, we should save that for the show.
This is why we can't talk outside of the show.
Every time I call you.
If we discuss any games,
yeah.
I better save it. Better record this.
Okay, so like the whole game is different.
Something tells me we're going to be tangling with Football Manager 2 at some point soon.
Absolutely.
And I'm actually, I swear, I'm like you. I never thought I'd say this, but I'm looking forward to trying to see what. I can't believe it.
This is the first time that we've done a Coco show separated.
I don't think people. I openly mock soccer, as you know. In fact, I've expressed my hatred for it hundreds of times. But I'll be damned if I didn't enjoy it. And you've never seen a man scream at little freaks on the screen like I did when those guys were scoring goals on me. I had a team run up a 5-0 game on me, and I was just screaming. And my kid was like, "What are you doing?" I was like, "Look at these little scumbags. They can't stop a ball."
Yeah, I've got a Pix. I am working to rectify the situation here. I've got to set up. I didn't set up the correct sequence of effects chains here, so we got to put on the compressor. Luckily, I've done this.
I printed out the docs for this too, Boat.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I've got the scoring breakdown right here.
Okay.
I had to know it.
All right. How does Aaron sound now, guys?
I sound good. Very good.
Yeah, we'll let you know.
Okay?
We'll let you know, Kevin, when Football Manager 2 comes up, and so you can maybe we'll even do some question. We might be able to, if it'd be okay with you, to send you some questions that we could answer on the show. A little clip on the top end.
While you're in here. And again, you have to pardon my ignorance, or I didn't get to see if it came up. Are you working on any current Football Manager type stuff? I mean, I saw you have an app store. I mean, are you actually still making like modern games, or are you just redoing your old stuff? I just kind of like the idea of someone that was making games in '82 that's still romping and stomping.
Yeah, yeah.
You know?
All right, now I just have to make sure. Okay, I think that our levels are going to be pretty, at least from the gauges here. Overall, we're going to be a little bit quieter, but we should be
Why is that? Oh, he's announcing new stuff in hours?
Oh, man.
You're kidding me, Kevin.
It's too bad that we didn't record later on in the day. We could have been right on top of it.
Well,
this
listen,
is an R. Sinclair special report.
Is, we'll get it out there. It's I was just thinking, Bo, did you ever program in BASIC when you were a kid?
Yeah. And by programming, I mean I typed in programs from the back of magazines.
Can you imagine, like, if that's a BASIC style game right there? The stuff I was doing, that looks like double secret garbage. I mean, we were sitting here like, where's the goalie? I couldn't have rendered one of those little stick figures.
Yeah. Everything about that is beyond anything that I could do.
That's why I gave up. I knew I was no good.
Well, there's always a point, even when I was in graduate school and I had to take courses on database management and SQL and stuff like that, whenever you start to get into loops, like either for next loops or any other kind of loops, my brain just checks out. It's just like, nope, you can't understand this, John. It's time to pack it in. And so
my problem was just patience. I don't have the patience to be a programmer. It's sad, but it's true. I mean, I know what I am.
Yeah. Well, it's good to know what you are. A lazy bum.
I'm garbage. I'm human garbage, Bo.
Listen, what is the you haven't really given everybody an update. We just sort of just dove right in. You want to give everybody an update on your general well-being since you've had to go out among the folks. You haven't been locked in. You doing okay?
I'm good to go. I feel like I'm one of the few people that actually feels better after the virus started than when it started. I'm still having a little cough, but I mean, really, I feel good. And I only cough and I talk a lot, so perpetually. But I feel great. I'm sleeping better. My back's not hurting. My nerve thing isn't as bad.
Good. I was concerned about the nerve thing. That is the most distressing.
Well, it's just from sleeping weird,
Yeah.
I can't complain, but I will say having extra time off to where I'm just like not to go in every day.
Yeah.
Get a little more rest. Although I haven't gotten a ton more, but I feel good, man. My well-being I feel okay.
That's good.
I feel okay. Hey, do you want to pitch this game at the end of the show or the beginning?
We should do it right at the beginning, otherwise we'll forget.
Okay. All right. Then we'll do it straight away.
All right.
And get it over.
You know what? I'm going to run to the bathroom real quick.
Okay.
It's too much fancy water.
Yeah, I know how it is. No, you're just in time, Curtis, for the cocoa portion of the shindig. Hold on, I've lost my, there it is. All right. I'm interested in Kevin's big announcement. I'm very excited about that. What are the odds? Should be a lot of fun. Hey, Curtis, we are going to be, sneak peek, we're going to be giving away a lovely copy of Gunstar. Battle for Earth. I've got my Gunstar t-shirt on, man, and I'm ready to rock and roll. We're going to play a little double back here. Get our cocoa on. Oh, geez. Gosh, I didn't know you'd had it, Kevin. Well, thanks for stopping in, and I'm glad to hear you recovered, man. And we look forward to your announcement, man. Good luck. Okay. Got the earphones on. He's ready to roll.
Yeah. I'm going to drop a link in the Coco Talk Discord to let them know that we are live.
I just noticed something, Bo. I'm so stupid. I was looking at the back of this Gunstar game, and I've got a playtesting credit on this thing.
Wow.
Yeah.
Man, this is just, here's what you do. You bring this up at every opportunity, just like when Brent always goes into the spiel about how he's a game developer because he submitted that level. Now you've got your own credit.
Yeah, that's it, man. Hey, I'm going to shoot you over a link, Bo.
Okay.
And we can share this as well, and it'll be the place where you could actually buy this thing.
Okay.
Let me find it, and then. Do you have that handy on you, Curtis? The link for the store for this? I never can find the darn thing, which is not good for your store, by the way. If you.
What's the? Oh, I always want to call it. I always
Gunship.
No, I always want to call it Downland. The game we're playing this week.
Downland. Which man, have you seen that? Whew.
We played Downland.
No, the new thing that guy's working on.
No.
Oh man.
So we're waiting on that link, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
You know, it shouldn't be this difficult to find this. Web page. Let me hold on a second, bud. I'll get this in 2 seconds here.
Oh, it's no problem.
Yeah, thanks, Curtis. Hey, take it easy, Retro. Thanks for stopping in, Neil.
See you later,
Keep
Neil.
up the good work, man.
Yeah, man.
Neil's got it down. He's found his niche, man. He's got it going. You know, the retro art guys, their stuff here recently has been off. Everyone's putting out quality. It's been great during this off time. You know what I mean?
I'm glad somebody is.
Bo, your stuff, that Donkey Kong video was off the charts.
I did enjoy doing it. However, it's just.
I found it.
Oh.
I found the link, Bo. I will put it in chat. How's that? Everybody can enjoy.
I've got a screen set up here. I just have to put you in it. Oh, nobody can hear you right now. Sorry. It's my fault. All right, now you can talk.
I said when you buy this game, you get loaded up. It's not like you just get this game. Like Nick empties the freaking vault on you. You get like a ton of other games, updated versions of like Donut Dilemma. And you get like, was it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 other games? It's a heck of a lot of cool stuff.
Is Nick Morantes? Is that the Nick that does the high score challenges on the Coco show?
There's Nick Morantes. There's like 2 different Nicks.
Yeah, and
their names are very similar. Yeah.
Maybe they're both the same person and they do it that way. It's like aliases.
It could be. You'd think they'd be a little more creative, though.
That's true.
You know what I mean? That'd be like calling myself John Schauger.
Well, the Coco is known for its heartless clones. So.
That's right. You got something there, Boat. You're quite the smart boy today.
I'm trying to be less hateful.
Why are you sometimes real hateful, but most of the time normally not hateful?
I can't explain it.
Or hate-filled. Because you're living like a charmed life over there.
I'm living. You don't understand how great it is, like, that I've been able to spend all this time with Eep. Like, we never get to see each other.
You're right. I don't understand that.
It's true.
And if I did, we'd have a problem. I mean, you know, but I do understand it. It's great.
But, you know, I mean, this is obviously a horrible, horrible tragedy. But from my own selfish perspective, you know, like, things are really nice. I mean, it's the kids, you know, obviously band is not optimal learning from a distance, but students are still playing their instruments. They're still putting in videos. They still seem to enjoy what they're doing. So, okay. So I think that we're ready to go. As soon as we're gonna dive right into the Gunstar bit first. So just
beautiful. And so I'll let you pitch the actual what you want them to do, since you can say it better than me. I'll just talk about the game.
Okay.
All right.
Sounds good. So here we go. We're gonna start recording. Support the Coco Show and listen ad-free. Plus get cool perks and rad swag. Visit our page at patreon.com/thecocoshow. Hi everybody, welcome to the Coco Show. I'm John.
I'm Aaron.
And today, Aaron, we're going to be talking about Doubleback.
Doubleback again. I'll sing the ZZ Top song.
Yeah.
But you don't know it.
Now, can you explain, because there might be some people listening to this show that aren't aware of ZZ Top. Who are ZZ
that's
Top?
Impossible. They were a big deal when I was in high school. You know, ZZ Top are three guys from Texas. Their heyday, I always thought it was funny, the two guys in the band, they had these huge, long, like, down to their knees beards that were playing guitar and bass, and the drummer, who didn't have a beard, whose last name is Beard. I thought that was kind of funny. But they had, tons of great songs. Legs was a big hit, if you remember that one. They did a cover of Viva Las Vegas that was real popular. They did Rough Boy, that whole album.
Sharp Dressed Man.
Sharp Dressed Man. They had tons and tons of hits. Heads in Mississippi. They've been around forever, you know. Yeah. And so the boys from Texas, they also played themselves on King of the Hill, which I always liked.
Now, the reason why I asked this is I've been pondering a theory. You know,
all right.
I've had a lot of time to ponder the really important things in life over the past couple weeks, and this is my newest theory on the Coco. Okay, so what do you think about this? The Coco, the Coco demographics skew older than any other retro computer from the same era. There were more 30 and 40-year-olds that bought into the Coco as a platform than the C64, the Atari 8-bit, or the Apple II.
Yes, I would agree with that. And I think I can even tell you why.
Okay.
You want to hear my crazy theory that I just came up with while you were talking?
Absolutely.
A lot of people that use the Coco today that are still enthusiasts are very intelligent, very electrocentric. They like to mod, upgrade, mess around with. They like that. They can program on it. These are very hands-on types. Okay, now why would the Coco, the enthusiast scene, be like that now? Okay, here's my theory. Here's the theory part. Where did you buy a Coco?
Radio Shack.
Exactly. Who goes to a Radio Shack in the 80s?
Old dudes.
No. Radio guys. Electronic circuit guys.
Yeah.
Tinkerers.
Right.
People that repair things.
Yeah.
People that upgrade things.
Amateur radio enthusiasts.
Exactly. And I think these are the people that embraced the TRS-80 color computer and kept its memory alive, and they're still around, you know, doing the same tinkery crap they did in the 80s. They outlived Radio Shack, and so did the computer. That's just the theory. It's probably crap, but that's my guess.
I'm glad that you agree with my theory, because I just made it up. And
me too.
Yeah, and so, hey, we should do this more often. Everything off the cuff from now on.
Theories to beat the band, Boat.
All right, Aaron. Well, it's time to talk about a very special event in the world of the Coco Show.
That's right, Boat.
So, Aaron, why don't you tell our listeners what you've got in your hot little hands right now?
What I've got in my hot little hands, a few weeks ago, maybe less than a month, and it happened at, of course, the worst time because this whole disease thing went down. A game was released for the color computer, and we talked this a while back, and the game I've got it here in my hot little hand, Boat, Gunstar, The Battle for Earth, by Nicholas Marentes. Nick. And this is a game that came out for the color computer. Now, this is a game that requires a Tandy Color Computer 3, 512K memory, and the 6309 CPU upgrade, all right, which is a pretty simple upgrade you can do for practically no money for your Coco. Now, what do you get for your money? You get one of the, I'd say I would go out on a limb here and say the top action shooter on the Coco, without doubt, without fail. This game is top shelf, and I was lucky enough to have gotten to play some of the pre-releases for it. And I knew right away, I was like, this thing's going to be awesome, and it is. It's great. And we are going to be giving away this particular copy right here on this show. And Boat's going to get into the details momentarily. You can also purchase this game at Nick's store. Boat, you want to shoot that up there?
Yeah. So Nick's store is over at nickmarentes.com. You can go there, and if you just look at his project archive, you can see the page for Gunstar. It is right here. You can purchase this game for a $10 digital download, or you can get it for $20, the physical CD media.
Now, I will say, if you buy the CD, and this, of course, will be on the disc we're giving away, you get, not only do you get this game, but you get a bunch of other games that Nick did, including an updated version of Donut Dilemma. You also... you get to have a look at Cosmic Ambush, Gatecrasher, a bunch of his other games. The game is it's a beautiful disc here, and this is a heck of a bargain, Boat. I bought this thing straight away. I wasn't screwing around because I knew our people would be interested in having it. Now, Boat, click on that bottom thing that says "Look Like a Hero."
Okay.
No, that. Click on that. Now, there, yeah, scrolling down. These are also available. The Gunstar shirts. Now, click back to me, Boat.
Okay.
You can see right here, bam, Gunstar shirt.
You're wearing
Great
it.
shirt. They're awesome looking. So I also recommend getting some shirt action, Boat. This won't be given away. That's for Daddy. But we will be giving this away.
Yeah.
And Boat, tell the people at home how any one of them could get this so easily.
So any one of you are eligible for this prize. Doesn't matter where you live. Anywhere around the world.
Yes.
We're going to run a little contest to give this bad boy away. All you have to do is leave us a review on iTunes. Find the Coco Show page on iTunes. Leave us a review on there, and we will select at random a review that is left. It doesn't have to be, of course, we'd prefer it to be a positive review, but we will select one at random, and you will win the prize. Make sure.
That's right.
And we will announce that. We'll announce the winner next month on the Coco Show. So we're going to have another episode between now and then. But all you have to do is leave us a review. iTunes reviews are very important because still the vast majority of people that listen to the Coco Show still listen through iTunes, and other podcast aggregators use the iTunes review engine for recommendations and other things like that. So even if you're not an Apple guy, even if you don't have an iPhone or whatever, it still remains the most important platform for us to get the word out about the Coco Show.
Right on. Now, by the way, I did a sort of an introductory playthrough of this game, about 3 months ago. So if you check our channel, you'll see it up there. If you want to have a look at what the game looks like, again, this is a factory sealed copy right here, but never opened by me. Good to go. So whether you're a collector of sort of unusual items, or you are a heavy duty Coco 3 fan who wants to take this bad boy home, hey, go drop a review for us, easy as peasy. We'll pick a random one out. We'll ship this to your house. This could get you through the rest of this dark days. Get you a little Gunstar.
Yeah.
I highly recommend it. Great game. And we'll get back to that in a couple weeks, Bo.
Now, I'll tell you what else can get you through some dark days, Aaron.
What's that, Bo?
That's this week's game, Doubleback.
Doubleback. Now, Bo, I know you never played this one.
No.
Right?
No.
I had played this back in the day. But I'll tell you why later that I was a fool, Bo. So, Doubleback, authored by a fellow named Dale Lear. Now, Dale has done several things on the Coco. He did a game that we need to check out, Bo, called Firecopter. That sounds pretty cool.
Yeah.
He also did Color Baseball, which I think we've both played that. He also did a Color Script 2 and something called Skynet Systems. I'm not familiar with either one of those that much. This was published by Tandy and Radio Shack in '82. It's funny, the second game today from '82, but this will run on pretty much anything with 4K.
Wow.
So real low end, man. So what do you do in this simple game, Bo? It looks simple, doesn't it? You play a line, like a moving, almost like the head of a snake, all right? All you've got to do is when a shape pops on the screen, all you've got to do is circle it and touch another part of your tail, and you get points.
Right.
Simple. The one thing you can't do, touch the item with the head of the snake.
Yes.
If you touch the item, you lose a life. You get 3 lives. That's the game. Now, you're probably thinking to yourself, well, this doesn't sound like much of a game, just circle these items. Well, this is one of those games, and this is a game people like me and Bo love so much, that it wants your greed. It's a greed game. And so what is the greed aspect of this, Bo? Tell them what makes this game different.
Well, when you first start out, you get single objects on the screen in sort of the earlier stages of the game. This isn't a game that's separated into waves or rounds or anything. It is an endless play from beginning to end. But as you move through the game, stationary objects become moving objects, and also more than one object is introduced to the screen at a time. And so the way that you maximize your points in Doubleback is by circling multiple objects at once. And this is made possible by the length of your snake. The length of your snake is somewhat nebulous. It kind of reminds me of maybe like a Stretch Armstrong type deal, or maybe one of those slinky dogs, where it can be really big or it can be really short. And so the challenge and the way to actually play Doubleback in expert mode is to figure out a way to encircle multiple objects at once. That's where you get the big money. Right. And the score, this game is the display on this is quite simple. It's a bordered screen. It has the screen you play on. It has at the top there are 3 little dashes to tell me how many lives you've got left, and then in big numbers, it has your score underneath it, right? And I think that's purposely put there to taunt you, because it's funny when you play this game over and over that you know how big a score you can get, and it's tantalizing to have that right there. Maybe it's a mental thing, but I mean, it's like, man, I know I can get a ton of stuff. I mean, you can circle a ton of stuff. Now, I downloaded the official documentation for this game, Bo, because I wanted to see what they had to say in here. Here's the introduction. This thing it says Doubleback is a game of skill and coordination for 1 or 2 players using joysticks. The object is to collect as many points as possible by tracing a path around moving and stationary objects that materialize around you. Those are the documents right there. That's the documentation right there, Bo. Right. And that's really all you need to know. But it did have a point breakdown. That's what I really wanted to see. So there are various objects that pop up in this game. Some are goofier than others. You've got apples. They're worth 70 points when you circle them. You get cherries, 100 points. Magnets, 150 points. There's a roller skate that'll start slowly rolling across the screen. That'll get you 200 points. There's a yo-yo that scrolls down and up in the screen, 250 points. And you've also got pears that are 300 points. Then you get spiders that are 500 points, and skulls. Skulls will give you no points. Now, here's the key to this game. When you circle more than one object, the score equals the sum of the points for the objects times the number of objects circled. Okay, so if you circle 2 apples, apples are 70 points each. You're going to get the 140 points times 2. Right. Effectively. That's the rub. So you can get massive, massive points on this game. I think of this in the same vein I do as Jumps and Zookeeper. The challenge is always hanging out there. It's just how often you want to challenge yourself to try to get the big points, and that's what makes it fun. I mean, that's the long and short of it. Do you remember on your best go how many points or how many objects you were able to circle at once? I do, because we're watching my best attempt right now on the screen.
So this is it right now. Yeah. We're looking at your best attempt.
Yeah, so there...
this is going to have your high score and whatnot.
Right. And so this is. Sorry, we're having some issues with the camera here. I think somebody resized a window on their end.
Nope.
We have what we have here is my failure to understand exactly how you get long enough to encircle multiple objects.
Yeah.
Because this is looking at Curtis's comment in the chat. It says the length is based on time and speed. If you're moving as fast as you can, there's a specific maximum length. What I don't understand is how you control your speed, because it's not like, for example, I was playing kicks on the Coco last night, and you can adjust your speed by holding down the fire button. Can you do that in this game? I never thought to try.
No, the fire button, as far as I can tell, didn't do anything.
Okay, so I don't know what is going on, how you actually make yourself long enough to encircle two objects.
Well, I played this with the analog and the digital stick. I tried them both, all right? And what you can do is that you can literally slow to a crawl or even stop effectively with this. And so by doing that, you can sort of make yourself, what you have to do is sort of make your tail efficient. Does that make any sense? You have to be very efficient in your loops. And that's how you can get more action on how much stuff you get caught in the loops. You have to, there's not really a way, this isn't a game where the more you eat, the longer your tail grows. It's not like that. This is all about having everything line up in the spots you need, and then efficiently circling them with and leaving as little room around the stuff as you can to get that extra length on your tail.
Yeah, I guess, I was playing this with an analog stick. I just didn't make the connection that the harder I push the stick in any one direction dictated my speed. I didn't even think about going slower. I was full bore all the time on this thing. So
yeah, that's the funny thing about this game is there's no time limit or anything, and so you can actually, you don't have to rush. You can really take your time on stuff. As long as you don't touch that stuff with the front of your snake, you've got all the time you need, and it's funny, I'm watching your game here, and despite the fact that you didn't know about, or you weren't really circling multiple things, you're having a pretty good game.
I had a pretty good run, and I was happy with my score. And this is the same thing that happens anytime you go on the old Coco Doc Discord, where you say, "Hey, I did pretty well on this," and then people are like, "Yeah, I do that. That's like the worst game I've ever had was your best game," and then you feel really horrible about yourself.
Yeah.
This is going to be the Coco Talk Score Challenge for this week on both Coco Talk and the Coco Show. If you are interested in giving your best shot to Doubleback, feel free to head on over to the Coco Talk Discord, and you can sign up and submit. You can take a picture of your score. You can just write in your score if you want. However you want to do it. The name of the game is participation, getting involved.
Yeah, and then they go over all the scores on the Coco Talk Show, which is on every Saturday afternoon. So I like the fact that these Coco challenges have been going up. I wish I didn't suck as bad. I'm like you. It's depressing to do your best and then get stomped into the mud. But there are some great players out there that are tearing it up.
Right.
Paul comes to mind. Also, there's just a lot. Of course, Curtis is no slouch. He's a heck of a player.
Most of the major players over there on the Coco Talk know their way around the joystick.
Yeah, Buck Owens is a master. He's another one. He's awesome. But yeah, this game came out of nowhere for me back in the day. I mean, let me rephrase that. I'd played this game, so it didn't come out of nowhere, but the aspect of actually playing it properly did. The greed element made this game 50 times better. There's a few things I want to mention that I really enjoyed in this game. In between your different lives, when you start again, it plays these little ditties, right? The ditties sound great, don't they, Bo?
Yeah. I thought the music was quite good in this game.
Yeah, and they're different. They didn't just play the same little ditty. It has like a couple of different ditties it plays. The attract screen is real. It's nice where it says it writes Doubleback in cursive.
Yeah. That reminded me. I'm always I don't know. Maybe I'm just, a loser. But I really enjoy watching, like, I had a computer version of Monopoly for the Atari 8-bit. And the most graphically impressive thing about it was the similar writing of Monopoly in cursive. But I always think that's cool. And especially with a game like Doubleback, where you are basically controlling a moving line, it was a really inventive way to do the title screen, because it's almost like your line is making the Doubleback text.
Yeah. Something that Curtis had on his site I wanted to mention here before I forgot. And a trivia note. The working title for this game, did you see what this was?
No, I didn't see this.
The working title for this game, Bode, Superfly and the Amazing Chomping Things.
Okay.
I think they missed an opportunity there.
Yeah, I would have much rather gone with Superfly.
Although, honestly, Doubleback, a better title.
Well,
but
I always just think about Superfly Jimmy Snuka, and so I can't maybe if they...
And yeah, you don't want to do
maybe
that.
not rope him into a licensing deal on the remake of this one?
Well, Jimmy's, not only is he dead, but he died very nefariously because he did a bunch of nefarious stuff. So tying him into this, not so good. But yeah, this game, like I said, it's not. You're not going to sit and talk about it. This isn't an in-depth review because there's not much to it. It's just a fun game that's a score game. This is a great score game. It runs on any Coco, and it's something you should definitely dust off and give a shot. I should mention this is on cartridge, and you can get these on eBay, Bode. I had a look on there, and these are going. It's funny. This is really all over the map. You know, we've talked about this before, but Coco, a lot of Coco cartridges didn't really have a box. They just sort of had this like generic box that they were in. So I didn't see any of these in their box. They were all loose carts. But again, loose carts on the Coco, it's sort of a, not a big deal, you know. But this thing was going between $18 and $77.
Oh wow.
So it's all over the map. Something else, just before we shut it down, this is something I really thought was neat, Boadster. You've got you've got 2-player support, right? And so you could actually pick a skill level for each player. So we play just much like Sailor Man was. Remember that was one of the options with Sailor Man, where you could pick a different skill level for each player. That helps a lot. This is definitely one you can play with the kids.
Yeah. And you know, the thing about the Coco, again, it's just another example of how they really took advantage of the platform to make a considerable amount of options. It makes you wonder, you know, why did the Coco programmers, how were they able to see that was a good thing, and why did so many other platforms not give you those abilities? Like the adaptive skill level, the amount of options there are in so many of these games that we play.
Yeah.
We did get a review from L. Curtis Boyle over on our Discord channel. And he says, Doubleback is an original arcade-style game that makes use of the free-floating analog joysticks, the Black Beauties. There is a fairly rare Atari Vector arcade game called Quantum that has a bit of similar gameplay, but it actually came out at the end of 1982 after Doubleback.
I forgot about that. Quantum, I have actually played that on the MAME.
The game is simple, and the graphics are fairly low resolution to allow the original cartridge to run even on 4K RAM Cocos. Gameplay is simple. Enclose shapes with your line for points, but don't hit them, and avoid permanent skulls that show up later that you can't encircle. One of the best parts of this game is that it auto-adapts to the player's skill level for how long you can last, and is a perfect game to play with a parent and their child. The child can last a long time circling a single object at a time, while the parent or advanced players can take advantage of letting a lot of shapes show up and circling them all at once. The more you circle at once, the bigger multiplier you get. With some objects moving and some stationary, it can become quite a challenge. Perfect family game for being stuck in self-isolation. 8.5 out of 10.
Yeah, this is a short and sweet, fun one here. This is one that you should definitely add to your collection.
Yeah. So we want to thank our Coco Show Game Selection Committee member, L. Curtis Boyle, for choosing this one for us. This was a big, of course, you know, the Coco just brings me so much joy, Aaron. Every time that I fire it up, I always have a good time. I always end up playing whatever game it is longer than I expect to. And this is no exception. It's a very simple game, but it's very addictive, and it's another classic. It really is.
I agree. I fully agree with that.
All right. Well, we do want to thank all the fine folks that make the Coco Show possible, including the folks that are in our chat right now watching us live. We record the Coco Show live every Friday here on twitch.tv/Amigos Retro Gaming. L. Curtis B has joined us. Barkbit is here. Laurent Giroux. Thank you guys. Pixels at Dawn modding it up for us. Thank you so much. Della Mort was here. Thank you guys for joining us. And we also want to thank all of our Twitch subscribers. You can subscribe to us on Twitch and get all of the same benefits that you get by supporting us on Patreon. Still Adolescing, Wing Chun Wolf, Go Sub, Retro Jerry, L. Curtis B, Mohawk Mall, Darkwing 602, Honored Shadow, Tapes from the Crypt, Macintosh Librarian, Duncan Styles, Barkbit, Mitsuyama, Rushi, MSX, Silverstreak 72, Frodo NL, Pixels at Dawn Gaming, and Jost 80. And finally, Aaron, where would we be without our Patreon supporters? You can support the show and listen to the show ad-free on your podcast player of choice by going to patreon.com/thecocoshow. And you can join Steve Rasmussen, Buttons, Graham Vebke, and Curtis Boyle. Thank you guys so much for supporting us on the Coco Show. Don't forget to contribute your score, to your high score on Doubleback, to the Coco Talk Discord server, and make sure that you listen to Coco Talk every Saturday and the Coco Show as it comes out. There's tons of great Coco content out there for everybody to enjoy.
Yeah, the Coco Crew. It's another fun show. There's some good stuff out there. The Coco people are all great.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, Aaron. Well, that's going to do it for this week. We will see you next week with another edition of the Coco Show. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Yeah, I actually forgot that when I said the Coco Show earlier, I meant the Coco Crew. I always forget about all the different Coco names.
Hey, Bo, I hope this looks okay. It sounds okay on your end, because remember when you said when the window blew up? I must have had a connection hiccup, because man, ever since then my picture of you and the video is just god awful.
Okay, it should look fine. Yeah, I mean you still look fine.
Yeah, it wasn't. I didn't touch anything. It just. I think I just figured out what's going on. I think there was a connection. I think there was a hiccup, and that's when it happened. It must have reset or something. I wasn't.
Try this for me. I've locked your window down. Try and maximize it, or just change the shape and see if it will, not move. Did you try and do?
I never thought that's what it was, and it's not.
No. I mean, try and maximize your window now, or just move it around. Okay, that's great. So maybe Duncan suggested this, and I told him he was wrong, which is that's how I normally operate. Locking it down in OBS, and keep that in mind. If you ever run into this with Brent, if you lock the NDI window down. Now, when you and Brent record, how do you use the NDI source, or what do you do a window capture, or what do you do?
Well, I set it up a couple weeks ago. To be honest with you, I run it into OBS, like you are. And I just, what I do is that when he logs in the morning, I just grab that video feed and just stick it in and try to position the best I can.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't have a technique. I'm not going to sit here and say, it's not as smooth as yours.
You might want to look at there's a thing called the NDI source. It's a plugin you can download for OBS, and it does give you a better quality video than if you just capture the window. How much better? How much better it is, I don't know. But I mean, I think you look pretty good using it. So.
Well, like I said, my quality right now is horrible, and I don't know what happened. I'm glad it looks okay on your end, but that's why I was having trouble following stuff here at the end, because it's so janky and crappy.
Yeah.
So sorry about
it's no problem. It's just
hey, thanks for everybody showing up. I gotta go fix the boy dinner or lunch here.
Yeah, we'll wrap it up. But yeah, thanks guys for hanging out. We'll see you next time. Adios.
Bye guys.